All right, I'd like to open the joint meeting and call the parish council meeting to order.
I'd like to call the city-parish meeting to order.
All right, we welcome you to a special joint meeting of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council. As presiding officer and chair, I'd like to announce the following. This is a public hearing to address the councils on any item on this agenda. We ask that you fill out a request form and submit it to the council clerk prior to the call of the agenda item. If that is not done, then you will not be given the opportunity to speak. We have staff assistance that is available if needed. Items for submission to the council should be handed to Council Clerk Ms. Veronica Williams, who is seated all the way to my left at the far end. When addressing the councils, please state your name and title for the official record. The 5-minute rule will be in effect. There will be no debating, no confrontational statements that will be allowed. The front row to my left is for media only. Food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium. Please silence your cell phones or any electronic devices. Meeting procedures are by resolution and not by Robert's Rules of Order. All documents pertaining to tonight's meeting can be found on the website at LCG. And finally, the council encourages your involvement for boards and commissions. If you are interested, which we do have a lot of open spots, we ask that you call in at 291-8800. I will now move to chair announcements. Item number 6, joint ordinance JO-062-2020, relative to adjustments to the fiscal year 1920 budget. Finance has proposed an amendment revising the deletion list of vacant positions. The first budget review is scheduled for Tuesday, July 28th at 1 p.m. This is a joint review for both councils that will cover the revenues and an overview of the budget by funds. There will be a public hearing for citizens' input on the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget at the August 18th special joint meeting of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council. For those tuning in from home or other locations, you may call in at 291-8428 if you wish to speak. We ask that you please keep in mind that there is a delay when viewing on TV and via the internet. At this time, I don't have any chair announcements, and I will now move over to, Councilman Lewis, the chair for the Lafayette City.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The announcement that I have, because I heard the previous council meeting, and you guys, the parish, were talking about early voting location. But I have been working on something to have early voting locations, particular location at the King Center. That is some money that will be coming out of a particular project that I have in the on the north side from my district, District 1. There's some funding that I will be putting into to have a voting location, or early vote location at the King Center. So I just want to show everyone that I'm not in favor of having a location just on the south side, because I know that on the north side we also need a location as well. And I heard one council member talking about he's not looking at the disenfranchise the voters, and I feel the same way. Broussard and Youngsville, I want everyone to understand that Youngsville and Broussard is paying for that, not Lafayette. So I'm taking upon myself, with the help of the mayor president, to have this money removed so we can have one in the city of Lafayette, the city of Lafayette at the King Center location. So that's what I want everyone to know, that if the parish or the city of Broussard and Youngsville can pay for one, not coming out from the city fund, I would like to pay for one coming out of money from my district that I represent, and have a location, early location voting, especially for this coming up election. People are saying that, well, maybe in the next 2 years, we will not have the fund, the parish will take over. Well, I feel the same way. If we don't have the fund, if my money where it's coming from is get depleted, hey, and the city can't pick it up, at least for this election, this important election that's coming up, I would like my people, the people of the north side, have a place where they can vote, early voting. So what happens after the next 2 years? If we can't afford for the parish cannot afford to pay for the one in Youngsville and Broussard, and we cannot pay for it in Lafayette, so be it. But I want to make sure if they have the opportunity to vote early voting, I want the north side to have the opportunity as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, sir. All right. Now moving to council announcements. I don't see any other council member. We had the casino. Oh. Did you win anything over there, Mr. Abad? All right, no problem. Remember, please silence all cell phones, electronic devices. Not seeing any council announcements. We'll move over to the executive mayor's president report. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, moving right along. We will now move to the ceremonial presentation, and I will ask Jeremy to please read.
Recognition, Team Phoenix.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to give the floor to Councilwoman Ms. Cook.
Thank you very much. Yes, I would like to recognize a robotics team here in the city named Team Phoenix, and I hope they're going to bring them in any minute. First of all, I want to applaud them for waiting as long as they have. They've been out there since 5:30. This is a group of middle school students, and they've been very patient. Somebody did bring them a Coke a little while ago, so I think they're kind of buzzing now. So they hopefully they're coming. So before I say anything, I want to wait for them to be here to hear. So are they getting them? This is a team of students that actually I met. I can say this because they don't need to hear this part. I don't want to embarrass myself, because when I met them, it was at a function at the UL Alumni House, and they had their robotics display out, and they were showing everybody what they were doing. So I thought, well, I'm gonna go walk over there and let me see what you're doing. And very impressed with what they had built, what they were working toward. Some of these had been with the group for like 7 seasons, and then they started to explain their project. Well, they kind of lost me at maybe power source when they use that word. So they were way over my head, but they are really a very intelligent group of young men. And there's no women on this team, so maybe we need to work on that. But they are a group of young men that have really worked very hard. And I'm going to read all the accolades in a minute. I think they're still here, huh? They're coming. Okay. Sorry, Chair. You have any questions about the team? Like I could explain the whole project for you? You need anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, no, it's way over my head. Trust me.
Yeah.
They go to all different schools. Some are homeschooled. They go to all different schools, and here they come.
That's the students? Can you show us the projects or the thing? Oh. I know Mr. Senegal done went to school already. He ain't coming back for more.
Any minute,
Mr. Senegal, you on that team?
There we go.
here they go.
They're right behind you.
You guys want to come up to the podium? I'm going to say it. There they are. Welcome, guys. I just told them I was so proud of y'all for staying here this long and waiting your turn, so thank you very much for that. I do want to read a few things that I have learned about their accomplishments. And so, for one, this team has been to the World Champion competition 6 times representing Louisiana, and they've placed there, received first place in the research project in World in 2018. They received 3rd place in the research project in 2016 and 2017. And there's a special competition in D.C. in 2017 with 20 world competitors. They won 2nd place in the Global Innovation Award. So yes. They also received the Judges Award at World in 2017. On January 19th, 2020, just this past January, Team Phoenix received first place Champions Award at the state competition. The Champions Award, the most prestigious award, is given to the team that embodies the spirit of the first Lego League. I had to look up FLL. That's the first Lego League, if y'all want to know. And it's exceptional in all judges' areas. The core values, the robotic design, the robotic game performance, the innovation project that they did. This is basically what they were awarded based on these things. Team Phoenix also won 2nd place in robot game performance. So there's some fun guys out there. This win earns them a slot to compete in the first LEGO World Festival in Houston, Texas, which would have been, unfortunately, on April 15th through the 18th, this past 2020, which, of course, we did not get to participate in that. And at the World Festival, the team will compete against 108 teams. So we were really looking forward to going to that particular competition. And they were the only team representing Louisiana. So that deserves another round of applause, right? I also want to compliment them on, they have grown the Acadiana robotics participation in the area by providing workshops to young students, running library programs, hosting regional first competitions, and connecting people that are interested in making teams. So they have definitely been leaders in this robotics competition and this robotics performance. And I commend you all. I love your enthusiasm for learning. I love your dedication to competition, because I'm all about that competition thing, and I love that y'all are in there to win. And so thank you for everything that you've done for the community. I'm going to read your names because we have a little certificate for each one of you. I do also want to recognize our coaches, because we always need a coach for this. We love our coaches. We have Michelle McFadden and Coach Doug Williams. Coach Doug has been coaching for the last 10 years, so we want to give them I'm going to read in order of participation the members based on how many years. We have Miguel Pagan. He's been for 7 seasons. Joseph Williams has been also 7 seasons. Jack McFadden for 6. Dominic Pagan for 3. Elijah Chopin for 3, and Ben Williams for 3 seasons. I'm fogging up here. So congratulations to all of you. I'm going to bring these down to you, and what I would really like for y'all to do is maybe come to the mic, introduce yourself, tell us what school you go to, and if one of y'all drew the short straw, which whoever it was, give us a little bit of just a brief information. I know everybody is, it's a long night, but we would love to hear just a little bit about just your experience and how you can share that with us. So thank you very much for that. So if y'all want to go first, I'll bring these down in a second. Y'all go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Joseph Williams, and I go to John Paul the Great Academy.
I'm Ben Williams, and I go to John Paul the Great Academy as well.
I'm Jack McFadden, and I'm homeschooled.
I'm Dominic Pagan, and I go to John Paul the Great.
I'm Miguel Pagan, and I go to JPG. On behalf of Team Phoenix, we're really honored to be here. Our competition got canceled, and we were really bummed about it because for me, Joseph, and Jack, it was our last year, and we really wanted to go out on a bang, but we couldn't do that, unfortunately. So we're really honored to be here, so thank you.
Well, we're honored to have y'all here, so really, thank y'all so much for coming.
Wait till they take their picture. Yeah. I used to make one. Yeah. Hey, Doug Williams. Doug Williams. Hey, Doug Williams. That's Doug Williams. That's Doug Williams. Right. Smile. Unsocial distancing. Just in case. I'll make it look good. Councilwoman Cook. So, Dr. Williams, before you guys go, I'll add this. So, just to echo what Councilwoman Cook said, so I too coached a FFL robotics team this past year, actually the last 2 years, and Team Phoenix truly is nationally and internationally known. We picked competitions so that we would not have to directly compete against them. And we're not getting an award for obvious reasons because we're not Team Phoenix. They really are. They do a great job. The coaches do a great job. The team truly is. They represent Lafayette very well and the entire state of Louisiana. So again, congratulations.
Okay. Moving right along. Resolution, this is a public hearing and blue sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. There's a 5-minute rule that does apply. Gentlemen, please read.
Joint Resolution 18, 2020. A joint resolution of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council adopting the Citizen Participation Plan as amended under 24 CFR 91.105, defining local procedures for public participation in the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Consolidated Planning Process.
Need a motion from the parish? Motion by Councilman Gilbo, second by Councilman Tabor.
Need a motion and a second from the city. Motion by Ms. Hebert, second by Mr. Andy Nakane.
Okay, at this time, we'll refer to any council discussion from either one. On the resolution, not seeing any. Ms. Williams, any public comment?
Yes, sir.
Please call the vote.
Parish District 1,
Yes.
Parish District 2,
Yes.
Parish District 3,
Yes.
Parish District 4,
Yes.
Parish District 5,
Yes.
City District 1,
Yes.
City District 2,
Yes.
City District 3,
Yes.
City District 4,
Yes.
City District 5.
Yes.
Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved.
Okay, we're going to move now to ordinances for final adoption. This is a public hearing. Blue sheets are available for anyone wishing to address the council. 5-minute rule does apply. Jeremy, please read.
Joint Ordinance 62, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 operating budget of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government to provide for adjustments of revenue and appropriation estimates.
Need a motion and a second by parish council. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Carlson.
Motion and second from the city. Motion by Ms. Cook, second by Mr. Glenn Lazar.
Okay, at this time, Finance has proposed an amendment to revise the deletion list of vacant positions. I will need a motion and a second from the parish council to amend.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Gilbo, second by Councilman AB.
I need a motion and second from the city to amend. Motion by Mr. Andy Nakane, second by Ms. Liz Hebert.
All right, is there any council discussions regarding this? Seeing none. Any public comment on the amendment? Yes, sir. Okay, please call the vote from each council on the amendment.
Parish District 2,
Yes.
Parish District 3,
Yes.
Parish District 4,
Yes.
Parish District 5,
Yeah, we'll be.
Parish District 1,
Yes.
City District 2,
Yes.
City District 3,
Yes.
City District 4,
Yes.
City District 5,
Yes. Answer for
City District 1.
Yes.
Motion to amend by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to amend by the City Council is approved.
I just want to reflect that Andy Nakane answered for Kevin Nakane, so it's all good. It counts. It's a knock. I'm just letting you know. So, all right. Moving right along. Oh, no, we have to call a vote on the ordinance as amended by each council.
Parish District 2,
That would be me, yes.
Parish District 3,
Yes.
Parish District 4,
Yes.
Parish District 5,
Yes.
Parish District 1,
Yes.
City District 2,
Yes.
City District 3,
Yes.
City District 4,
Yes.
City District 5,
Yes.
City District 1.
Yes.
Motion to adopt as amended by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt as amended by the City Council is approved.
Okay, moving right along.
Joint Ordinance 63, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council suspending Ordinance 60, 2019, the conditional 2% pay increase structure for employees of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government for the proposed fiscal year 2021 budget as a result of the economic downturn due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, need a motion and a second to consider from the parish. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Carlson.
Motion and second from the city council. Motion by Ms. Cook, second by Mr. Glenn Lazar.
Okay, council discussions on this ordinance. Councilman A.B. Rubin, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, the only thing, that before we vote on this, I see that it's for up until the year 2021. The only thing I'd like to say is or should I say, when the budget gets better, and hopefully before 2021, I would like to make sure that we have the understanding that we will put this 2% back into the budget so these people can get this 2% raise.
you're hot now.
I believe, thank you, Councilman. I think a lot of councilmen agree with that. The administration agrees with that too, so you have my commitment there. Let's just monitor the revenues as they come in, and we got to take care of our number one resource in this institution, which is our people. So good amendment, or good thoughts.
Okay.
Councilwoman Annette Cook, you have the floor.
Okay, I just need to clarify that. So I guess what I wanted to say was to make sure that everybody understood that this was just a suspension. It wasn't taking it out totally, because that was some concern that I had received calls about, that we were, not going to do it, the 2% raise moving forward. But this is just a suspension for the 2021 budget. Now, was your question, though, that if in mid-year we would make an adjustment? Okay.
So just like on item 6, we came to mid-year with a lot of cuts.
Okay.
The administration has no objection and will gladly sign it into law once the councils reconvene on this particular matter. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up.
Okay. Councilman Lewis, you have the floor,
Yes,
sir.
my question is, when does the suspension start, now or it starts in the next fiscal year, next budget?
Next fiscal budget.
So all employees will remain with their 2% up until, what, November?
Whatever the salary is budgeted in right now, they'll just maintain that salary.
I just want to make sure their
Yep.
salary, whatever they take home now, will continue until next fiscal year.
Correct.
Ms.
Just to clarify, this is not a reduction in pay. I don't think that's what you were saying, Councilman, but the question might be out there, so just,
So it's no reduction. It is no reduction, and the suspension will start next fiscal year. So whatever employees take home now, they will continue receiving that same funding, same paycheck until November. Then in November, repeat,
And-
I want to make sure we understand and make sure the
beyond.
people understand.
and beyond, until what Councilman Rubin brought up, once revenues, we're all monitoring revenues, as our economy comes back into the powerhouse that I know it'll be, then we need to address this issue, and you have my full support.
Okay, well, I see Citra kind of like shaking her head. I want to hear Citra, what you're saying.
You didn't trust my answer?
I trust, but she's doing
She
this
might
and
be
that.
right.
I want to make sure everyone is under the same thoughts and make sure we all understand one another. And I want to make sure the employees will not get a reduction in their pay. That's what I'm concerned.
We want to be in the right church and the right people.
Correct. And just the way you were phrasing it, I wanted to be clear.
Right.
You said it won't take effect until November. That just means come November, there won't be a raise, because there was a raise that this ordinance that
Right.
was passed
That's what-
would have implemented. So there won't be an additional raise. There won't be a decrease in their current salary. There just won't be a 2%
So they got the
Right.
2%
So the
last year.
2%, okay, whatever they're making now, their salary will stay the same, but in November, they will not get an additional pay.
They won't get an additional
Yeah, they will-
pay raise, and they won't get a decrease. They will
Right.
continue what they're making today.
That's what I say, until November, then it will continue going the same pay. They will not get another 2%.
That is very correct.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good?
Yes, we're good.
All right.
Good. I want to make sure.
No, absolutely. Because I had a few phone calls that they said, you're taking away my 2%. You just gave it to me. So just to be clear for all the city employees or all employees affected, nobody's getting a decrease.
Right.
So you might not be getting extra 2 because of the conditions, but that doesn't mean that you'll never get it again. We have to reevaluate and come back and address it. So, Mr. Gilbo, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm going to add to the confusion.
Oh, no, no.
No, not really.
Okay.
As I read the statute, the way it's written, the increase is based on the collection of revenues over and above the prior year. So every year, we do in fact go back and review, and if it does exceed, then the 2% kicks in. In this case, it's not, so they don't get it.
Well, they
So
actually,
it's over and above. Well, for next year, it will not, because the revenue is down, so it's not above and beyond prior year, it's down, so they don't get it next year.
Correct.
Okay. Now, one other question. This does apply to fire and police as well?
And they won't get it.
No.
Well, it's in the ordinance, yes. Huh?
you on?
Fire has a statutory mandate, and Chief was in the back. So if I'm wrong, Chief, just come on out. But it's, I believe, firemen that's are from years 4 to 20 or statutorily mandated to have a certain percentage pay raise, so we couldn't supersede that at all. But just to know, so everybody knows our intent, what Councilman Rubin suggested, I support 100%, and I think the council supports. We're going to continue to monitor our revenues, and just because we're suspending it now, we don't have to wait until the next budget cycle to take care of our employees. Once the revenues justify the pay raise, we want to put it in there for them.
And Mr. Mayor, I applaud that, and I certainly hope that we can, and I hope the way it is written, it allows us to do that. That's why I brought up revenues over and above prior year. So is it a yearly assessment, or can we do it in 6 months? And if it is up, fantastic. If not, just beware. That's all I'm trying to make the point.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Chair, if we could allow our CFO to speak.
It is done on an annual basis, not on a mid-year basis. So if revenues do improve mid-year, you may recall that Ms. Webb instituted some council policies. I think you were the author of some council policies that said that blanket mid-year raises will not be granted during the year, that they will be done in conjunction with the annual budget. So the way, and you are correct, Mr. Gilbo, the way the ordinance is, it will automatically happen unless there's another pandemic. It will automatically happen when revenues meet the conditions as outlined in that formula. It will automatically happen for the next budget.
Good, thank you.
So just to clarify, and everybody's saying some good things, put all the legal mumbo jumbo up, okay? The source of law to this particular procedural vehicle is through the local level. So whatever procedural vehicle that got us here, our legal team can get us out of it. So if it is the intent of the councils to give our employees raises mid-year, third of the year, quarter of the year, I am confident that we can find the procedural vehicle to make it happen. So just, everybody understands the intent of Councilman Rubin. I know I support it. Everybody here supports it. We'll get through it.
Sounds good to me.
And I'm on board with that, Mr. Mayor President. Thank you.
Okay.
Just brought it up for clarification.
Yes, sir. All right. Knock, knock.
Just a point of clarity, was it not just a 10% pay raise given this past fiscal year to all the employees across the board?
No, not 10, huh?
5%,
Yeah.
okay. So we're sitting pretty good right now, I think, so thank you.
And mind you, that 5% was the first time it's come in many years, yeah. All right. Councilwoman, Ms. Hebert.
Thank you.
You want to clarify too? Look, hit your button.
I did.
No, you didn't. No, you did.
Oh, am I live now?
Uh-huh. Take your mask off.
So point of two things. I have a question that's going to apply to this one and the police and fire okay, am I muffled? Better. Police and fire and this one. My question is, will their insurance go up as well? Okay.
So you guys were given a proposed budget this evening. There is a very small increase in group insurance, like 3%. So the premium on someone with single coverage will go up 3%. It will go up 60 cents per paycheck for a single person, 60 cents. And that's at a 3.1% increase. The premium for family coverage will go up $5.09 per paycheck, and that's at a 3.1% increase in the group insurance premium.
All right, thank you for that. And then for my point of clarification for me doing the raises at a certain point in time is those of you who were on the council last year, you recall during budget, certain departments coming to us one-off asking for raises, and then it turned into a department versus department why them, not us? And it became sporadic, and then some people maybe who didn't realize everyone else asked for raises, came to ask for raises, too late or didn't get any. So why I said that we only need to do it at budget was that way it was fair and on an even playing field for everyone involved. So not one department, because their department head was paying attention and at that council meeting and thought to ask, got the raise. So that's why I said, let's leave it at budget only. That way we can have a discussion, and it can come from administration as well, because they've spent time on this budget, they've worked hard on it, and they've determined if we can even afford these raises. That way it doesn't turn into political games of what department gets it. Now, if we wanted to amend it and say the whole entire LCG gets it, we can certainly do that. That's the intention behind my procedures, was to simply keep it fair and not let one person get it and someone else doesn't get it. And it turns everyone against each other. So that's all. But if we want to talk about that, we can certainly amend it. Not a problem.
Okay.
That's all I have, Chairman.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. I'm not seeing any other council discussion in regards to this ordinance. Ms. Williams, do we have any public comment?
We do have public comment for citizens who emailed in or called in who did not wish to speak in support of the ordinance. 22 people signed up in support, and in opposition, 29 people signed up in opposition to it. Speakers, we have 3 speakers, the first of which is Matthew Humphrey, followed by Marshall Broussard. He'll pass. Marshall Broussard.
I think he had left from the last meeting. I don't know. I don't want to say, he did leave? Okay. Thank you, sir.
And I have 1 caller.
Oh, yeah. What kind of pepperoni? I know, I didn't like that.
That's his way of passing. But I want to make sure.
Something to keep us up.
Mr. Teely?
Did you call the wrong number?
Next speaker is William Teely, and Mr.
Hello, everybody. My name is Will Teely. I live in City District 2 and Parish District 5. So thank you to Councilman Andy Nakhan and A.B. Rubin for representing me on the City and Parish Councils. And thank you to everybody on both councils. I would like to speak out in opposition to this ordinance. Or, at the very least, this ordinance should be amended to also repeal Ordinance 59-2019. You see, if you rewatch the April 23rd, 2019 meeting, like I did last night, because I'm a giant nerd, you'll see that ordinances 59-2019 and 60-2019 are related. Ordinance 59 gave all fire and police civil service employees a 2% conditional raise, and then Ordinance 60 was voted on immediately afterwards and gave all LCG employees a 2% conditional raise. Both ordinances passed. And when you watch the video of the meeting that night, you see a real shared camaraderie that happened because everybody got a raise. Nobody was left out. The problem is that the ordinance that's before you now only repeals the LCG employee side of the equation, those raises that were given. There's no ordinance before you today to also repeal the fire and police raise side of the equation. And I believe that's unfair. Look, I get it. COVID-19 is real, and real budget cuts have to happen. But it's unfair to repeal some government employee raises, but not others. If budget cuts have to happen, then the burden should be shared across the board, not pitting some government employees against others as to who deserves to keep their raise and who doesn't. And look, don't confuse my stance on the issue. I think you should vote it down, period. These employees deserve the meager 2% raise they were promised last year. So my vote would be to vote it down. But if you're going to vote in favor of this repeal, I would encourage you to amend this ordinance to also repeal Ordinance 59-2019. We shouldn't be pitting different departments of government employees against each other. It's not fair. A police officer or a firefighter isn't more important to me as a taxpayer than an LUS lineman or an engineer in the drainage department or a librarian at one of our libraries. All of these government employees add value to the community where I live. They should all get raises when times are good, and then maybe no raises when times are tough. You know, to state my opinion another way, since I know our mayor president is a military man, I'll give you a military thing.
Mr. Teeley, just want to let you know that that ordinance is a city ordinance because the fire and police fall under the city of Lafayette. So that repeal of Ordinance 59 that you speak of is currently on tonight's city council agenda. It's item number 14.
So I would encourage our city, so to the people I'm speaking to right now, because I'm speaking to both councils right now, to the city side of the council I'm speaking to, please repeal that ordinance if you're going to repeal this ordinance tonight. That's my only point. Repeal both or neither. I hope that's clear. I appreciate the time to speak, and thank you to Veronica Williams for that clarification too. I was not aware of it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Teeley.
Thank you very much. All right, any other speakers?
No, sir?
All right, please call the vote from each council on the joint ordinance.
Parish Council, Parish District 3?
Yes.
Parish District 4?
Yes.
Parish District 5?
Yes.
Parish District 1?
Yes.
Parish District 2?
Yes.
City District 3?
Yes.
City District 4?
Yes.
City District 5?
Yes.
City District 1?
Yes.
City District 2? Yes. Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved. Joint Ordinance 64, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to enter into a maintenance agreement between the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government and the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development concerning the maintenance of state roadways to include mowing and litter pickup and amending the fiscal year 1920 operating budget of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government by decreasing the use of Fund 260 prior year fund balance by $6,223 and increasing reimbursement revenue from the State of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development in the amount of $6,223.
All right, thank you. Need a motion and a second from the Parish Council. Motion by Councilman Gilbo. Second by Councilman Carlson.
Motion from city for approval. Motion by Ms. Lizzie Bear, second by Lynette Cook.
All right, any council discussion on this? We sure do. Mr. Lewis, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, I'd like to know, it's Mr. Warren Aberdeen, whoever maybe can answer this question for me when you're talking about mowing, well, really litter pickup. I really would like to know what do they mean by litter pickup.
We're going to pick up the trash, the litter. All the stuff on the side of the road. Wrappers, cans.
Beer cans.
Beer cans.
Cigarette butts.
Yeah.
There's one. Still awake.
I'm Warren Abedy, Director of Traffic Roads and Bridges.
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Aberdeen, today someone called me saying that they were cutting grass from a next door to their home or across the street. But they noticed that while the grass was being cut, they were just cutting paper, cups, whatever, and they were just throwing it all over. I mean, they were just shooting all over on the streets. So I see you saying litter pickup. So who's going to monitor that? The people that's calling in for the service request, or someone going to make sure that, or the person that you guys are hiring to do the work, they will definitely make sure that the litter is not cut?
Yeah, so this agreement covers the interstate, and part of our contract with the vendor that cut the interstate, they have to pick up all the litter, and they actually have to report how much litter they picked up.
So
they are required to pick up litter.
So I know you have a mask on. I want to make sure that you're talking about, this is only concerning on the side of the roads, the highways and the interstates. We're not talking about normal cutting grass in the neighborhoods. We're talking about just interstates.
This is an agreement for I-10, I-49, US 90, and Bertrand, between us and DOTD that allows us to maintain state right-of-ways. That's what this agreement is.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Hebert. Warren, you're not done yet, sir.
So you just rattled off a few streets, but does it also include Ambassador Caffrey and Johnson Street?
So in Ambassador Caffrey, we're cutting by permit. It's not part of this agreement, but we are cutting it.
Okay, and what about Johnson Street?
Johnson Street, we are not currently cutting it, but there's the median section, that there's a project going on that the contractor's supposed to be cutting it.
So, okay, in Louisiana Avenue, someone just asked.
Louisiana Avenue's ours, so we cut it.
Okay, all right, because I know there's just been times where I've requested grass to be cut on Johnson Street, and they've said that they wouldn't do it because it wasn't a safety issue yet, even though it's as tall as my car, so.
Yeah, well, as soon as that project boundaries are out, we'll be able to
Yep.
cut it by permit, and we're definitely open to doing that.
Okay.
We're going to own the grass in our parish.
Will we need to come back and amend this then to
No.
add it by permit?
No, we can do it just by administrative permit. They're not going to pay us to do it, but we'll get the grass cut.
Okay, I mean, we need to get paid to do their job, don't we? Some would say.
According to DOTD, that this represents all the funding they have available for us to cut grass.
All right, we can sidebar that, that's fine.
Okay.
But thank you.
Okay. All right, not seeing any other discussion. Any public comment?
All night.
Okay, what item are we? Okay, no comment on that one. I'm counting the speaker cords for the,
For the city council meeting?
no,
Oh, just check.
it's coming up.
I hear you. But,
So, sorry about that, but no, there are no speakers for this item.
thank you so much, dear.
You're welcome.
Please call the roll on the ordinance.
Parish District 4?
Yes.
Parish District 5?
Yes.
Parish District 1?
Yes.
Parish District 2?
Yes.
Parish District 3?
Yes.
City District 4?
Yes.
City District 5? City District 1?
Yes.
City District 2?
Yes.
City District 3? Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved. Joint Ordinance 65, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette Parish Council and the Lafayette City Council amending Chapter 97 of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government Code of Ordinances to change the weed and noxious growth maintenance requirements, notice provisions, and fee schedule for properties within the City of Lafayette and the unincorporated Parish of Lafayette.
Need a motion and a second by the parish council. Motion by Councilman Tabor. Second by Councilman AB.
Motion is second from the city, motion by Mr. Naki, second by Mr. Glenn Lazar.
All right. Any council discussion on the ordinance? Not seeing any. Ms. Williams, any public comment?
Yes, sir.
All right, call the roll.
Parish District 5?
Yes.
Parish District 1?
Yes.
Parish District 2?
Yes.
Parish District 3?
Yes.
Parish District 4?
Yes.
City District 1, City District 5?
Yes.
City District 1?
Yes.
City District 2?
Yes.
City District 3?
Yes.
City District 4?
Yes.
Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved. Joint Ordinance 66, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council authorizing the Lafayette Mayor President to submit the 2020 Annual Plan Grant Application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Okay, we need a motion and a second from the parish. Motion by Councilman Tabor, second by Councilman Gilboa.
Need a motion and second from the city council, motion by Ms. Nanette Cook, second by Ms. Liz Hebert.
All right, any council discussion in regards to this? Seeing absolutely none. Any public comment?
No, sir.
Call the roll.
Parish District 1?
Yes.
Parish District 2?
Yes.
Parish District 3?
Yes.
Parish District 4?
Yes.
Parish District 5?
Yes.
City District 1?
Yes.
City District 2?
Yes.
City District 3?
Yes.
City District 4? City District 5? Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved. Joint Ordinance 67, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 operating budget of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government by increasing revenues in the amount of $1,449,912 in CDBG funds received from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and appropriating funds within the Community Development Department.
All right, need a motion and a second from the parish. Motion by Councilman Carlson, second by Councilman Tabor.
Need a motion and a second from the city council. Motion and a second from the city. Motion by Ms. Liz Bear, second by Mr. Andy Nakane.
All right. Ms. Williams, any comment?
No, sir.
Please call the roll.
District 2, Parish District 2,
Yes.
Parish District 3,
Yes.
Parish District 4,
Yes.
Parish District 5,
Yes.
Parish District 1,
Yes.
City District 2,
Yes.
City District 3,
Yes.
City District 4,
Yes.
City District 5,
Yes.
City District 1.
Yes.
Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved. Joint Ordinance 68, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 operating budget of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government by increasing revenues in the amount of $625,351 in home funds received from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and appropriating funds within the Community Development Department.
Okay, need a motion and a second from the parish council. Motion by Councilman Carlson, second by Councilman Gilbo.
Motion and second from the city council. Motion by Ms. Liz Bear, second by Mr. Glenn Lazar.
Okay, any council discussion? Seeing none, any public comment? Call the roll, please.
Parish District 3,
Yes.
Parish District 4,
Yes.
Parish District 5,
Yes.
Parish District 1,
Yes.
Parish District 2,
Yes.
City District 3, City District 4, City District 5, City District 1,
Yes.
City District 2. Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved. Joint Ordinance 70, 2020, a joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council recognizing and ratifying the emergency appropriations authorized by Emergency Ordinance, Joint Ordinance 69, 2020, amending the fiscal year 1920 operating budget of the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government by authorizing the transfer of $60,000 in community development block grant funds and $200,000 in home investment partnerships funds within the Community Development Department to Catholic Charities of Acadiana for the implementation of a tenant-based rental assistance program and utility assistance program.
All right, need a motion and a second from the parish council. Got a motion by Councilman A.B. Rubin, I got a second by Councilman Tabor.
Motion and second from the city. Motion by Ms. Liz Bear, second by Mr. Andy Nakane.
Okay, at this time, council discussion, Ms. Abear, you have the floor. Councilwoman Abear, respectfully, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Nakane.
You're welcome.
Question, how long can we expect until, because I know we passed an emergency ordinance for this because there is a need. How soon can we anticipate those funds getting into Catholic Charities so they can disperse them to those in need? Oh, Mayor.
Sorry.
I got you.
We're going to get our director out here to answer that question. But just to point out that this money is going to people in need.
Mhm.
So I know there was some discussion on that earlier. So I'm very excited about that.
Good.
Good work by the council. Good work by our Director of Community Development to make sure that money gets to those in need, to pay utilities, people that weren't working because of this health emergency. All right. Ready? That's you.
In case you didn't hear, my question was how long, okay, you heard, okay.
Yeah, I
Great,
heard
thank
Hollis
you.
Conway, Director of Community Development. We have finalized the contracts with Catholic Charities, and so that should be going out pretty immediately.
Pretty immediately, like a day, or pretty immediate?
Well,
Oh, signed
within
immediate,
the
okay.
week.
I mean, the way
I'm
to
sorry,
go.
I couldn't hear you with your mask.
Within the week. Within the week.
Oh, within a week, I'm sorry about that.
It is him.
Okay, no, that's all I had. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you've done to help us with this.
Thank y'all.
Good job.
All right. About to say that nothing the government does is immediately, so I'm impressed.
I'm new to this.
All righty.
That's all I have, Chairman. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. I'm not seeing any other discussion at this time. You coming in? No, you out? Oh, accident. Okay, that'll work.
You might be needed.
All right. Y'all accidentally stay away from the button so we can get through. All right. No, I'm joking. Any public comment?
Kim Boudreaux?
Good evening. Thank you for considering this, the funding that has been recommended to Catholic Charities. Kim Boudreaux with Catholic Charities of Acadiana. I just want to be clear that $200,000 towards the rental crisis that our community is facing is grossly inadequate. This is a great start, and we're thankful for, on behalf of the people that we'll be able to help. With this assistance, it will, for every household we're able to keep in their housing, it will make all the difference. However, we have had over 400 people become homeless in our community since this health emergency began. We currently have 415 people experiencing homelessness temporarily put up in hotels. That's being temporarily funded on a 30-day period at a time. So this program isn't guaranteed to be continued in like forever. Every 30 days it's being renewed. And so at any point, that program can be discontinued, and we literally are going to have hundreds of people on our streets without a place to live, and this includes many children. The housing crisis that our community has faced has been pretty profound. The evictions, the moratorium has lifted. The federal moratorium is lifted on the 25th of this month. And so people that are facing evictions at this point, it's important that we get this funding, the contract executed as soon as possible. The Louisiana Housing Corporation announced last week, the governor announced his rental assistance program that was going to be up to $27 million. And they had to shut down the applications for that program 2 days later because they were overwhelmed. They had 40,000 people apply for rental assistance through that program. So we're looking at a significant crisis across our state, across our nation, and that is true locally as well. And so I just want to thank y'all for making this first step and identifying funds that were within the Community Development Department. I think that there was a little bit of confusion about that this was part of the COVID relief money that was originally debated some time ago about whether it would go to the businesses or housing. This is not part of that. This is part of some funding that was in the Community Development Department. And so if there's any additional funds that can be found to support rental or utility assistance, that would be greatly appreciated. Right now, LUS has sent out their disconnect notices. They are giving out a month's notice for people to either get on a payment plan or their utilities will be disconnected. My understanding is August 13th is the date of disconnections to begin with LUS. And so there's 4,000 people that were notified about disconnections. There are some commercial businesses as part of that number. We would like to know from LUS how many of those were residential disconnections. That would be helpful for us to understand as your partner with LUS as the Share the Light administrator. And we also would appreciate if we could get a contract with LUS to administer that program. We've been waiting to hear back from LUS on that, so it would be great. We've not received any funding to help us staff that program. So that's it, unless y'all have any questions for me. You have a question, sure.
Yep. Councilman Gilboa, you have the floor.
Kim, first, thanks for your service in the organization, what you do for the community. Just a quick question. You said 400 homeless that are being housed in hotels, motels.
Yes.
Is that only the numbers that you report, or are there other organizations that have numbers that potentially could make that 400, 600, 800?
So that's our number for our community.
It is for the
all of our
community.
numbers combined.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Councilwoman Aber, you have the floor.
I was going to ask just for Veronica to make a note for us to send an email about the LUS contract, and then also to get the two questions that were asked earlier by Ms. Boudreau. And if you need us to resend them, you can get those two questions answered for us, because I'd be curious to know that as well. Thank you.
Just would help us understand how many customers we're potentially looking at calling us. 4,000 is a lot of people, especially if we don't have a contract with LUS to administer the program.
All right, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
No other discussion. Thank you so much. Any other speakers?
No, sir.
Please call the vote.
Parish District 4?
Yes.
Parish District 5?
Yes.
Parish District 1?
Yes.
Parish District 2?
Yes.
Parish District 3?
Yes.
City District 4?
Yes.
City District 5?
Yes.
City District 1?
Yes.
City District 2?
Yes.
City District 3?
Yes.
Motion to adopt by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to adopt by the City Council is approved.
All right, we're going to move to the final items here, introductory ordinances. I need a motion in a second to consider in global items 14 through 16 from the parish. Motion by Councilman Gilbo, second by Councilman Carlson.
Okay, I need a motion and a second from the city to introduce in global item 14 through 16 from the city council. Motion by Mr. Ned Cook, second by Mr. Glenn Lazar.
All right. German, please read.
Joint Ordinance 71, 2020. A joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council amending Chapter 98 of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government Code of Ordinances and enacting Article 10 therein relative to the issuance of permits to operators of shared mobility devices within the city and parish of Lafayette and establishing rules and regulations applicable to permittees and users associated with the use and operation of same. Joint Ordinance 72, 2020. A joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council amending the fiscal year 1920 operating budget of the Lafayette City-Parish Consolidated Government by authorizing the increase of revenues in the amount of $36,000 received from the Recycling Partnership, appropriating within the Public Works Department Recycling Division for the residential curbside recycling program. Joint Ordinance 73, 2020. A joint ordinance of the Lafayette City Council and the Lafayette Parish Council adopting an operating and 5-year capital improvement budget of revenues and expenditures for the Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government for the fiscal year beginning November 1st, 2020 and ending October 31st, 2021.
All right, any public comment?
Yes, sir. We do have public comment. First, citizens who did not wish to speak, who are in attendance, who signed in, 160 signed in opposition to the recreation center closures, and that's in reference to item number 16 under the proposed budget. 30 citizens also called into the council office in opposition to the center recreation, so it's a total of 190. We do have speakers signed in, the first of which is John Milton, followed by Madison Dugas. I stopped counting at about 22.
Good evening, everybody. It's kind of an awkward situation, having spoken earlier and trying to get used to this bifurcated government. But I want to say that I rise on behalf of this community to ask you to consider the racial implications in the proposed action of closing those recreational centers. In addition to the humanitarian issues, you know, when I look at things, and I've worked on a lot of committees in Lafayette, a lot of nonprofit organizations, Leadership Lafayette, I've been around, as they say. And I want you to know that when we look at the total vision for the growth and the future of Lafayette, that this move of closing or limiting the services, falls outside of the direction in which, at least I hope that we would be going. When we look at the 2035 plan, and I'm asking each of you, both city council and parish council, to look at the 2035 plan, and there's a section in that document that talks about parks and recreation. And it talks about how we will move toward an integrated system where the city government will not be so bifurcated from the Lafayette Parish school system, and that parks and recreation will become something to be considered when dealing with the issue of education, not only education, but also for health. So when we talk about the disparate effect upon African Americans and why COVID-19 has affected us so disproportionately, then the question becomes, why to me, we would be using the parks to teach the children how to wear masks or wash their hands, or to otherwise compromise for some of the deficiencies that lead to the disproportionate impact of these viruses upon the African American community. I think we can be more creative. And so when I look at how we'll choose, everything is about finances, right? So we look at the resolution, y'all considering this now, where people who are tenants are going to be able to stay in their house because we're going to get money and give it to the capitalists who own buildings. They get to stay there, but who really gets the money? So when we look at budget cuts in times of such as these, which I understand that this global pandemic has had its impact upon our community as upon every other, I'm asking you to consider what message is being sent by the proposed action. There ought to be somewhere else, because it doesn't appear, and I apologize, I do not know the exact dollar amounts, but it does not appear that such a drastic action of closing those 4 parks in such a small area of the parish, so close to each other, without there being some other. Now, my son went to Youngsville, and they have this beautiful new sports complex, but they were asked for an ID and they didn't have one, so they couldn't go. So other communities have other means of recreation and whatever else. For the committee, for the children in our community where these centers are located, these centers are disproportionately more important to their lives than to other centers and everywhere else. So even if we compare 1/3 of the population in this area, and we're keeping 1/3 of the recreational centers open there, you're still comparing apples to oranges because the quality of life. Everybody knows that in the 70501 area code, the average mean income is $16,000 to $18,000. And just go to 703 or 706, and it's $63,000 a year average mean income. So there's a to consider the playing field and think that it's level, to know that it's not level. This small request from the community is simply setting the tale of what's going to be the relationship of this brand new system of government, our brand new mayor, with the African American community. We already have enough strains, tension between the community. This last week, I'm over there on Pont de Mouton, where another young black man is shot, killed, and nobody gives a hoot. Worried about whether or not he had drugs on him or whether he was wanted. I got 5 clients now. I can't even turn them in. The sheriff department won't take them. So if you're looking for them, I'm saying to you that consider the racial implications of this action, and I'm asking you to reverse that.
Next speaker is Madison Dugas, followed by Marja Broussard. Madison Dugas. Marja Broussard, followed by Devon Norman.
Hi again. Marja Broussard, President of the NAACP and also Vice President of the State NAACP for District D. I want to say a couple of things. One, I applaud you guys for finding that $200,000 for the Catholic, Be nice if you could find the other $452,000 that was originally set for that. We know, you guys have heard all night what these parks mean to us, what these centers mean to us, what our children, you know, how our children use these parks. I'm actually looking for a text message that several people are texting me to let me know that they are in support of keeping the parks, and Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, United Ballot, Black Folks Talking, La Place de Creole, all support not closing the center. I've challenged you guys before, some of you anyhow, and I'd like to challenge you again that this lady here, Marja Broussard, is unapologetically black, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And I would like for some of you, some white person to say, let me walk with you so I could see the disparities. Because you go home to your nice houses in your nice neighborhoods, and as Bishop Milton just explained about the disparities, the difference in the income. So it's hard for me to believe that you understand. It's hard for me to believe that you're sincere when you say you understand, because you don't live it every single day. So I'm asking you to please leave our centers alone. We need those for our children. Many people spoke at the parish part of the meeting, parish meeting, excuse me, and said how impactful that was in their lives and in the lives of their children. The very least you can do is look at other avenues, other places to cut, maybe some administrative positions, as one gentleman explained, you know, got a mayor, CO, CAE, XYZ, and LOP. I don't know what all those are, but we know that you're paying money for them, okay? Yes, because I'm trying to make it light, because my daughters are watching, and earlier she was like, Mama, you're getting so upset behind this. But it's the passion that we have for our people. It doesn't stop. Mayor Guillory was just elected, and he's been doing more damage to the African American community than any of the mayors combined altogether in the short time that he's been there. He really has. And if you look at it and compare, this has absolutely been the worst for the African American people. It really has been. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Thank you for listening to my comments.
Devon Norman, followed by Herb Green.
Good evening to the council, to the mayor, president, the administration, everyone that is here. It has been a long day, but I'm encouraged by the sentiment of the people in this city. I want to start off by saying there have been a lot of questions as to who I am and why I'm here and why I do what I do. Let me start off by saying started off as a little young black boy going to J.W. Falk Elementary School, living in the neighborhood right behind Turlings, so somewhat middle class, going to a school that represented mostly people who had faced more disparities than I did. So I kind of didn't really understand what it was like to be discriminated against, only because it was already my experience. And then I got to a situation where I went to NP Moss Middle School, which was the new building, now David Thibodeau Tech. And in my 7th grade year, I believe, if I remember correctly, we were told we had to immediately leave our school because of mold that had been found in the building. So when people ask me why I'm throwing myself into this, I've been in this for a very long time now. When I advocated and I was a young boy exposing what was really happening, the bigger picture. And so I continued on as I went, and I was discovering myself as a theater kid, something that was very different in the black community. And I was able to go to Lafayette High School and join the Performing Arts Academy. And I was able to cross barriers that other black kids had not, being one of the first African-American male students to star in a musical at Lafayette High. Unfortunately, that year was the very last musical that we had at Lafayette High School. When my friend, who is now deceased today, saw that he was white, that I had a program, we had a program for the musical, excuse me. And in that program, each of us who were stars in the musical had our own biography, an autobiography. Well, he realized then that my autobiography, unlike the rest of the star students, which were white, was cut short. Everybody else got to say exactly who they were about themselves except for me. So he taught me what activism was in that day, because he took the program, being the star, the lead in the entire musical, the white kid, and put it in a trash can, a tin trash can, and set it on fire. He was expelled from school. My best friend, Andrew Glazier, is known in the community of Lafayette, and they call him Andrew Vincent, and he did commit suicide in 2018. But he taught me something very valuable, that no matter what comes your way, no matter what comes against you, you stand up for what you believe in, and you stand up for those who you love. He and I were very different. I was a religious kid. He was not. I was a black kid. He was not. We had completely different experiences. But one thing that we knew about each other was that we loved each other. And everything that made us different was everything that made us better. And so today I come appealing to the council, and I come appealing to the mayor president. I may not agree with a lot that you believe in, but I do believe that I have the ability to work with people that I don't agree with to make sure that the people that I love the most get exactly what they deserve. Now, I'm an activist, and again, unapologetically black, like the president of the NAACP, Ms. Marja, said. So I will say to this council, and I'm not talking to any member directly, as it was stated in a previous public forum, I'm not calling out anyone, I'm calling on all of us as individuals to do better, to become more proactive instead of reactive. I called on myself to do that. That's why I'm here today. I called on myself to do that a couple of months ago when I did ask you that question that I did when I sent it online, because I knew that I could not complain about what was going on if I didn't say anything about it to you all. So what is the point in sitting behind closed doors and saying nothing? Because that would give you a reason, right, to say, well, we didn't know. So now we're here today. The community has come out, and I hope that we, after everything that has been said and done, that you've heard our passion, you've heard our cries, because now the community is looking to you. The community is looking to you to find out, how does Lafayette move forward? Is Lafayette the progressive city that she so desperately longs to be? Or is it true that white supremacy still runs rampant in this city? Is it true that the powers that be will bind together to make sure that our voices are shut up? I typically don't want to believe that, but I would hope that that hope and belief can be found in our community, not by the words of the administration or the council, but by the action. Again, there are people on this council who fight in their various ways for good causes, and I applaud them for that. And I applaud the council for the ability for us to come together despite our differences. But we have to do better. We have to do better. The country has to do better. You know, Mayor President, I want to speak to your love or appreciation, let me just use that word, for the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who has made his position known on young brothers like myself. And I must say that coming up in a city like this, and to know that you have the ability to publicly endorse him and to support him and to encourage citizens to vote for him, knowing the things that he has said about African American people, saying that we come from places like bleep hole countries. I'm not trying to get kicked out tonight, but y'all know what the president says. And I mean, if he could say it, then I can say it right. But I'm a minister of the gospel, so I come with dignity and respect. And I would expect that we expect the same from our leaders. And I would hope that we can come together and that we can realize that that is not the type of leadership we want from anybody in any executive office. And so when you say that you support him, to me, in my heart, I believe that you have the heart of who he is. And so I would like to choose today that we can leave this meeting in hopes and belief that we can change that tone in Lafayette, that we can change the way we address our politics, that we don't have to get Washington involved in our politics, because Washington is a long way from here. We're not in Lafayette Square Park, we're in Lafayette, Louisiana. And so I think that we ought to remember that in these days, because the people of Lafayette are looking. And I guarantee you that the young people, we're coming out stronger than we've ever been before. God bless y'all, and thank you for your time.
All right. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Herb Green, followed by Matthew Sias.
Herb Green?
Okay.
Herb's gone? Okay, next.
Next speaker is Matthew Sias, followed by Wallace Senegal.
I know Mr. Wallace is here. Is Matthew Size here? I know he was here earlier.
Okay, Wallace Senegal? Oh, maybe he's also.
He's coming.
And
Okay.
just keep in mind that this item is a budget item, so any comments have to be related to the budget. Now, the next item, if you signed up on the city council agenda, the comments, that's open mic, so you could speak on anything, but this specific item is relative to the budget.
So the next few speakers, if it goes off of the budget and goes into left field, I'm going to bring you back into the center. You have the next meeting to talk to the council now.
Mr. Wallace, you could come up while we wait on,
He's passing.
oh, he's passing, okay, thank you. Next speaker is Tara Laxey, and she will be followed by Kevin Kenny Tebow.
Mr. Lazar, did you want to wait till people's done, or you wanted to come in at the end? Okay.
Good evening. Sorry. Good evening. My name is Tara Fogelman Laxey. I am a lifelong resident of Lafayette, a mother, grandmother, member of Unity 7, and I have a very deep-rooted love for my communities. I am from Fightonville, Four Corners, and I am Northside strong. First, let me say, the same way I addressed the parish council a while ago, God said that the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. That is what I expect from each one of you as my council members. Loving your communities has nothing to do with skin tone, income, religion, or political parties. Something our mayor doesn't understand. We are a wonderful mixture of people here in Lafayette, but then at times there will be some who show their true colors. Example, by choosing to close 4 recreation centers on the north side of town where the population is predominantly black and low income, and not closing down anything on the south side. Our youth already face different obstacles and are at risk here on the north side. The justice system shows them no justice, inadequate education, violence, drugs, homelessness, housing issues, lack of job opportunities, positive programs to keep them focused, and generational poverty. The effects of systemic racism. Recreational centers in low-income neighborhoods provide the mental, emotional, and physical release many of them need. It provides mentorship programs, tutoring, dance, weightlifting, sports. It keeps our youth minds from becoming idle. They receive positive words of encouragement, and some of them might not even hear that in their own homes. Hopefully, with the support system that they receive at these rec centers, they have the ability to break the cycle, perhaps becoming one of our next city parish council members, our mayor, a community advocate. Rec centers provide a safe place to hold weddings, receptions, family reunions, celebrations, graduations, and it helps to bring our communities together while providing revenue for our city. Choosing the 4 locations to close only on the north side has brought our neighborhoods together to stand up to the total disrespect, lack of consideration for the north side as a whole, all done by our mayor, Josh Guillory. It's bad enough that some of our police officers constantly target us, but for our own mayor to do it also, this will not be tolerated. Basically, he's a bully who changes his mind only because, I have my 5 minutes, only because he got caught with a snake in the grass idea. I'm not disrespecting him. I'm speaking like Donald Trump.
That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is it has to pertain to item number 16. Okay.
Video Friday threatening to close 4 Northside recreational centers that help our at-youth risk while ignoring the south side, and nothing's being closed down there. So if you're planning on closing our recreational centers to save money for your budget, he's the one who made the video.
Okay.
Anyway, so I will.
You good?
Yesterday,
Stick to the
you offered a little tidbit, like a piece of brownie, in trying to change your mind whenever you went with our different churches, saying that you weren't going to close the rec centers. But your video that Friday, even though a brownie is sweet, my palate is still salty. Because you cannot go back and change your mind just because you got intimidated and you saw that the Northside people were going to stand up. You have set yet another fire under our feet for equality, and we will not be silenced. You be able to block our comments on your mayor, parish president, Facebook public page because you don't like what we say, like you did to me. But you will not silence us in numbers because there is more power in numbers. I challenge, and it's unfair because my time is running out, I challenge y'all, my city council members, to get out there in the street, get to know your people, not just in your district, but on the north side of town. If you don't understand what the struggle is, if you don't see the disparity in our neighborhoods, you will never understand. But I had to go back and forth with you.
All right, I'll go ahead and give you. Whoa. You can talk to me respectfully and say, please. I will give you a minute.
Thank you.
That's fine. I know you're passionate and I get it.
I challenge y'all to come out, because for you to make good change in our community, you first have to acknowledge that there is a problem. And right now it seems like one of our major problems is Josh Guillory. I need y'all to show good character. I need y'all to love us, the north side, your neighbors down the road, like you love your neighbors in your district. Y'all represent us. Y'all are our leaders. And it's time that you stand up. As far as Josh, what you showed Friday, basically you're like the snake in the grass. Northside had the lawnmowers, we cut grass, and we exposed you for the snake that you are. Do I want you as my mayor and my leader? Hell no. Josh Guillory must go.
Okay, that's it. Next one.
Next speaker is Kevin Kenny Tebow, followed by Corey Levier. Okay, Mr. Tebow is not present. So next speaker is Corey Levier, and he said I said his name correctly this time. Following Mr. Levier is Sherry Broussard.
Get my horrible notes together here. Once again, with the power of Almighty God and the blessing of my ancestors and my mother's bloodline to the first ancestor and my father's bloodline to the first ancestor, I greet the honored council, mayor, president, and all the staff, and the community members gathered here. I will reiterate that I am here as a member and chief of the Cycle Breakers Coalition, and I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not upset with you. I'm not angry, but I am determined to do for myself what others refuse to or cannot do. And I'm going to encourage my community. I live on the north side on Pine Street, to do the same. It is something that we have been trying to achieve for hundreds of years, and we must begin to take steps in that direction. With that said, I will read again the statement that I prepared. It is with great concern that I read and accepted the news of the budget-based closing of the 4 recreation centers in Lafayette's Northside community, where I reside, and 75% of the citizens look like me and my family. This decision by the government of our city has the potential to have a devastating impact on our children. Yet, as always, when one door closes, by universal law, another door opens. And here I see the door of opportunity has swung wide open. I am Corey Levier, the chosen one, messenger of the Society of Knowledge, owner and proprietor of Safe House Firearms and Safety Solutions, son of Carrie Ann and Clement Levier, a free man, an American patriot, and veteran of the U.S. Army. Today I'm here to present our initiative and vision to serve the recreational needs of Lafayette's Northside community, which is mine. Number one, we propose a 20-year lease in which the city would lease to the CBC the 4 shuttered facilities at a cost of $1 per facility per year. Those specific facilities are the Domain Center, the Hyman Park Recreation Center, the J. Carlton James Activity Center, and the George Bowles Activity Center. Number 2, the CBC, the Cycle Breakers Coalition, will provide the management, vision, direction, staff, and programs to efficiently and professionally operate the 4 facilities autonomously. Please note that we are already accepting volunteers and donations to make this work, and will continue to do so, and you are welcome to join us. Number 3, the city of Lafayette will provide electricity, water, and internet services to the facilities. We are taxpayers, and we could use the help. Number 4, any and all equipment present in the buildings would remain in the buildings as part of the lease. Every community must invest in its children. As the twig is bent, so grows the tree. We at the Cycle Breakers Coalition are in the twig bending business, so that each tree has the opportunity to grow straight and strong, producing a forest of upright trees and breaking the cycles of racism, self-hate, poverty, illiteracy, and lawlessness in our community. We will afford this council and the mayor 30 days to consider and approve our proposal. And we will make ourselves available to answer any and all questions that you may have. In a month's time, I shall return to this council and the mayor, hopefully to seal the deal and submit our comprehensive and detailed plan to operate these facilities. And we will ask for a vote of approval to execute agreements to serve and save the children of the Northside Lafayette community. Thank you for your time and attention.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker.
Next speaker, Sherry Broussard. She's not here? Okay. Lynn Guy? After Ms. Guy, Damon Arsenault.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Guy, and I'm a community activist for a long, long time that has been a little quiet. I've also served for the longest period of time on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I'm quite aware of how government works and the things that you have to go through to make things work. However, I understand the budget has to be what it is. We are in a crisis right now, and we have no choice. But that doesn't mean that you make a rash decision and you're going to shut down these 4 recreation centers on the north side. Did you look at anything else to cut? There are other areas in this government that are wasteful, and that's things that you really need to look at. Why would you take away from the north side? As usual, we bear the grunt of everything that is taken away. You've taken away and showed us that a person of color in the police department is not wanted. You put pressure on a very excellent director that couldn't accommodate you in what you planned to do, which means that he had compassion and love for the children of this area, compassion and love for the community people. We live there. We enjoy having our recreation centers there. They are a vital part of our community. Shutting it down, closing them, it's not going to work. The second thing, the park rangers, really. Do you know Macomb-Vise neighborhood organization fought long years and worked with the Park and Recreation Center to make sure that we had park rangers there to avoid what was happening in our parks? Why would you take that away? It just does not make sense. It's not logical. It is not logical. I don't even understand the logics of closing these recreation centers. And you can't explain it either, because the reasoning you're given, it doesn't make sense. So I ask you, elected officials, please take it under consideration and stop this. Have a heart, because if it was happening to you, would you like it? We are tired of being treated so badly on the north side. And frankly, I'm sick of the north side, south side thing. We're all Lafayette. I'm sick of it. You refer to the north side, refer to the south side, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm Lafayette. Where do you live? Lafayette, Louisiana. I don't live on Lafayette North, Louisiana, or Lafayette South. I live in Lafayette, Louisiana. We belong to everything here, not one side, not left side, not north, east, south, or west. We are all one unit, and you represent all of us. You need to understand that. You don't represent one portion and make them happy. You need to make us all happy, because we all count, and we all can go to a voting machine too, contrary to what y'all believe. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it. I know several of you already. Thank you so much for your service. I appreciate it, because you are all fair. Have a good evening.
You too, thank you.
Damon Arsenault.
Nathan Arsenault?
Damon
Oh,
Arsenault.
Damon, I'm sorry.
Ronald White. Ronald White will be followed by David George.
Good evening to everybody here. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you, Jesus, for allowing me to even be in this situation, to have a voice to speak. I just want to speak as a dad of a 13-year-old boy who lives on South Sterling Street in Macomb. A very, very dangerous situation that he's in. He needs that gym, the Hyman Park gym, which I'm speaking about. He likes to play the basketball. For that gym to close down would be very detrimental to my son. As a parent, I'm up against a brick wall with all these distractions and everything. When my child says he's going to that park to play basketball, me and his mama can rest. You understand? So just think about that as parents, y'all. You know, I know this is a big time thing, big money involved and all of that, but just recognize that opportunity for me to sit down and eat my dinner and not worry about if my son gonna get killed out in them streets. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Is David George here? Pastor Abram Freeman? John Bess? John Bess is followed by Albert Johnson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I want everyone to take observance of the term shared sacrifice. And just let us take a couple of seconds. Shared sacrifice. Let's take a couple of seconds to just consider that. Just a few seconds. Shared sacrifice. The people I've talked to who have spoken to me, and I have a cable television program, are outraged, many of them, most of them, because they don't see shared sacrifice. When that little news item dropped on Friday, Lafayette should be better than Washington, D.C. and the White House doing the negative news dumps on Friday, the end of the week. But when it dropped, people were shocked that these 4 facilities were on the north side. And as one former representative, one former councilman said, the Hyman Center is number 2 in monies that come from these special events, weddings and other special events. Number 2. And many people talked to me and said, well, John, what about the golf courses? We didn't hear anything about that. What about some of the other entities on the south side? So shared sacrifice, and we're in a tough position nationally with the COVID economy, and we don't know where COVID is going, whether it's going to be COVID-21 or beyond, and also our negative petroleum economy, which has hit us very hard. So that necessitates shared sacrifice. That means one and all. That means you look at Lafayette as a whole and look at these different services that are being provided to all citizens, and we all have a share of the pain, okay, as it relates to our cuts. Shared sacrifice. So if we can all look at it from that standpoint, I think we can do the right thing for the community as a whole, because we all have to live here together and make it work together. We're all in a good ship, Lafayette. But I don't think the term shared sacrifice has been totally understood and certainly not totally applied. So that would be my admonition to you, to please look at shared sacrifice and look at the investment of our resources into our youth. This young man talked about his son. That was heart-rending to me. And I know many other youth who use these facilities. As an instructor at the W.D. and Mary Beth Career Center, some of my students use the Hyman Center and many others. And I'm sure you will receive many calls this week if you haven't, and maybe face-to-face talks as well about the reduction of services, what this will do to our youth, and what true shared sacrifice means. And we all understand, as I said at the top, in a COVID economy and a negative petroleum economy, it's going to be some pain, but it has to be that shared pain. Thank you.
Next speaker, Albert Johnson, Diana Lennon, followed by Jamal Taylor. Jamal Taylor will follow her.
Good evening. My name is Diana Lennon, and many years ago I sat on the Parks and Recreation Commission. So this really isn't my first input for Parks and Recreation. With the closure of 4 of the 10 rec centers, most of them being on the north side, especially during these times, my initial reaction was, as many, disgust and disappointment. I understand the financial and budgetary constraints from the coronavirus and our depressed oil field economy. We have to manage money or raise taxes per our mayor president, but why not try a little both? I did some research and found out some things today. Pursuant to our comprehensive annual financial report, our city mission statement is to enhance the quality of life of our community by providing high-quality, cost-effective services that meet the needs and expectations of the public. These are provided by parks, rec centers, swimming pools, golf courses, tennis centers, activities, and programs. The capital budget for Parks and Recs Department can only be used for capital projects, not personnel, which is the most expensive part of operating any business. Part-timers must be laid off, and civil service full-timers can be made part-timers, but there are just not enough bodies to go around to man all the centers. Since 1961, the Parks and Recs tax has not always been annually rolled over to support the Parks and Recreation Department. For 5 decades, Parks and Recreation has asked for the opportunity to go to the public and ask for a new millage to help fund Parks and Recs. They have been denied this opportunity for 50 years. I believe this is one of the reasons that the Parks and Rec Department had to be subsidized to the tune of $3.5 million. I read that the administration evaluates budgetary requests with a higher priority given to expenditures which provide direct public services and public health and safety. Aren't our rec centers a big part of this? Our Chief Minority Affairs Officer issued a statement regarding these closings after speaking about mourning the loss of Reverend C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Lewis, 2 giants of the civil rights movement. He went on to say that using innovative and creative solutions, we can upgrade and transform those centers that they are closing. Why are we only talking about this now after talking about closing the centers? Pursuant to Gerald Boudreau, former director for Parks and Recs is essential to the community and should be considered essential. He was worried that if you cut the parks budget, juvenile crime was likely to increase, and I believe he's right. Some of these centers are used for voting. Again, essential for the minority population in those areas. Laying off 37 people, if they're coming from those centers, also places sorry, can't read my writing, also hits the underserved. And the places are also used for, one of the rec centers is used for a place of rescue if Barranca Elementary has to be evacuated. That being said, these closures eliminate rec center activity where crime is rampant and people are already underserved. I don't want to just complain. I hope to offer maybe some kind of solutions to consider, although one of the gentlemen had a really great solution. Perhaps we can cut across the board for all of these centers so these 4 can stay open. Shared sacrifice also comes to mind. That would be Girard Center, Robichaux, Martin Luther King, Thomas, Como, and Dupuy Center. Can we use some of the CREATE budget to help keep these centers open, still doing cuts to all? And can we limit something? Sorry, I can't read my writing again. I had to type this so I can read it. Even though closing these centers may have a valid logical reason, we have not yet heard it, and it plain looks bad. Even if the demographics show otherwise, we must help the underprivileged. This largely spiritual community, we all know what helping the underprivileged means. I have 50 pages, front and back, right here, of comments from citizens and voters on why these 4 centers should not be closed, ranging from we pay the taxes to we keep the kids off the street, generations are affected, we need a safe place for the youth to go, sharing the pain, right thing to do, not investing with our kids, fairness, hundreds of other good reasons. Please consider the other possibilities before closing these particular centers. Yes, we all hate taxes, and Lafayette is known as a low tax haven, but if you look at closing these 4 centers and then look at our streets, road, bridges, drainage, and schools, being a low tax haven is not always the best thing to be. Thank you. Sorry. Thanks for listening.
No problem.
Jamal Taylor. Followed by Jules Lee.
Are these your glasses?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to touch them.
Don't worry.
COVID had
I didn't start your time yet.
That's okay. I had signed the surgery. I asked the chairman for a little latitude of my comments. I asked the nice lady outside when I signed up which would be the appropriate place to speak, and she said here. And so I think that might be the confusion with some people. She was very nice, and I said what I was going to say. She signed people up in a particular spot.
Okay, yeah. As long as you can relate to the budget and the budget cuts, we're good.
I think I'm a pretty good speaker, so I might be able to do that. I appreciate you.
All right, no problem.
I always like to start with a quote, and I looked through my phone as a former English teacher, but then Ms. Hebert said something today that just stuck with me. She said, on a different topic, we need to be on an even playing field. Doesn't become political games. And I think that's where we find ourselves at with this budget and these particular budget cuts, some political gamemanship. The wonderful thing about government in this country is that the executive is frequently checked by the legislative branch of government in a way that makes sure that things remain fair, even when their egos move them in a direction that may be popular politically, but not appropriate morally. Right? And I think that's the place we kind of find ourselves in right now, that some decisions were made with regard to the budget that are politically expedient but not morally appropriate. I watched today the commentary earlier where people smirked and smiled and giggled while others talked, and I found that very inappropriate. Thank God for a legislative that checks the executive swollen with power, or an executive that makes inappropriate decisions, not in the best interest of every individual in the community. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Jamal Taylor, an educator, Ivy League educated educator with a master's degree from Columbia University in New York. I would say to you today, when I heard the comments about a separate budget issue related to opening additional voting sites or early voting sites, it brought to my mind this conversation or discussion about equity versus equality, right? When we have those discussions, equality is giving everybody the same thing. Equity is realizing that everybody didn't start the same place. And so giving a center to Youngsville and Broussard isn't the same as putting a center on the north side. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for that, because it was long overdue. But do not confuse that those things are not equitable. They're equal, they're not equitable, because the playing field has not been leveled for a very long time in this community. I would ask this council to consider being the check on the legislative, but more importantly, sending the message to the community that this city will not become the cities across this country where race has become a sticking point because an executive has decided to follow the implications of someone far, far away that doesn't have any business here. I would say to you, as you consider this budget and this cut and this idea that we can move things around and move a voting center to Broussard, there isn't even a library on the other side of Evangeline Thruway, okay, for our children to attend and get books from. And so when we think about this budget and what its construct means to us, it is a slap in the face of people of color. It's unfortunate. It is offensive. A wise person, though, once told me, blessed is he who is brief. And so I will end with this. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, in Louisiana, we cook it and we eat it.
Jules Lee. Jules Lee.
How's everyone doing? First of all, thank you for giving us this space, this time, this moment to speak to you. I come before you. I'm Jules Lee. I'm a veteran, okay? Served in Desert Storm. I realize the importance of having our recreational parks open. We talked about fairness. I ask that each and every one of you, when you vote, take into consideration the implications that might take place. As a kid, I played in the parks. The parks kept me out of the streets. Thank God I had a family that encouraged me to play sports. Didn't care for school too much. I look at the kids in the park, it's a safe haven. I don't know if your kids have to depend on a park to have their birthday parties in, have their family reunions in a park because they can't afford to rent. It's a sad day in America when we're closing parks that are predominantly used by minorities. I don't know the mayor's heart, and I'm not going to pretend to know it. I'm asking, no, I'm begging you all. We gave you the power for a reason. You were elected for a reason, to be fair. To be fair in your judgment. You know, I fought for the equalities that most Americans take for granted. The freedoms that they take for granted. The simple things I learned in the military was to follow orders, do as I'm told, but also to fight for the people that can't fight for themselves. So I plan on encouraging, if our parks are closed, I plan on fighting you guys the best way I know how, and that's in the pocket. By withholding and buying things. Stop shopping on the south side. There's ways to get our point across that our voices do count. We don't have to fight. We don't have to call names. We don't have to get ugly. We don't have to stoop to the level of some people. We elected the mayor to represent all of us. And I would hope that's what he plans on doing. I just ask humbly that when you vote for this, y'all, that you take in consideration us veterans. We use the park. we gather in those parks. We sit, we talk. We have barbecues in that park. We drink beer under the tree in the park. Okay? That's all I got to say, and thank you for your time.
Next speaker is Dr. Jennifer Jackson. Dr. Jackson, you may begin speaking.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize that I'm not there in person. I was driving back from Shreveport this evening, driving home to my home on the north side. I was born on the north side. I live on the north side. I can live anywhere in Lafayette, and I choose to live on the north side. I've been on the Parks and Recreation Board since 2017. No one on the board was consulted about the budget to close these centers. I represent 3 of the 4 recreational centers that was closed. I was not consulted regarding this. But once I found out, I contacted the Mayor President's office requesting a meeting this week. I was told he's not available and his secretary would get back with me on available dates. When we meet, I don't want to focus on usage. I want to focus on access. Access to centers that allow individuals on the north side, the side of town that I live on, to have access to these centers. I know some of you are saying, these rec centers, there's so many rec centers on the north side. That's because the north side has the greatest need. If these centers are closed, the youth and the individual will not have access anywhere to go for recreation. These individuals, they can't afford to join gyms. They can't afford to work out. They can't afford to go swim, and they can't afford to hold meetings. I can afford to go home to a nice neighborhood, just like the Mayor President and several of the city and parish council members. I can afford to work out at a gym, just like the Mayor President and several of the city parish council members. I can afford to rent a facility to have meetings, just like the mayor and the city parish council. I'm here to speak for those who cannot. As a proud Christian, the Bible says that whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they've done. This comes from Proverbs 19:17. I challenge each of you, let's be good Christians, and let's be kind to those who have less than us. Please keep these rec centers open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. The next few are call-in speakers?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In bed sleep.
Mr. Darbon?
What? You probably woke him up. He's sleeping.
Next speaker is Will Darbon. Mr. Darbon, you may begin speaking.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank the President, Mayor, Josh Gilliard, and the council members to, accept my input. This is in regards to the Beaver Park, Parks Recreation, possible changes. As a member of the Beaver Park, my first concern is how the determination came about to outsource the operations at Beaver under, the park recreations without the input of the current tennis coordinator, Chris Mars. Has anyone spoken to him what it takes to maintain the Rubico/clay courts versus hard courts? Because Beaver Park is unique of having a lot of Rubico. And to maintain Rubico courts, you need some expertise in that. Otherwise, the potential to create major issues in creating high cost of repair goes into play at this point. An example of, you have to, every day, the courts need to be brushed, watered, and roll packed daily. And every 2 years, the surfaces need to be pretty much stripped and then resurfaced, retaped. The bottom line, if the courts are not maintained properly, the potential of great bodily harm increases. So to put a person in that position, which Chris has the expertise, they better know what they're doing, is in my opinion. One person cannot maintain Beaver Park as it is. How will costs be covered for assistance when windscreens need to be rolled up and down during high winds to prevent the storm fencing from bending over? One person cannot complete this task alone because these screens are anywhere from 15 to over 20 feet long. As a member, I assist when I'm available to avoid potential budget costs under recreation and parks budget. Privately owned, they would have to probably pay for the service. Are they prepared for this if you outsource this particular to a private person? Potential here is more cost to replacing fencing if windscreens are not rolled up or down. I'm assuming the city maintenance will still probably be needed unless private operation is willing to pick up the bill for deck maintenance or outsourced for repairs. In my opinion, the decking, at Beaver Park needs repairing or replacement. And then is the new position posted for potential, operators anywhere? Like is this, new contract possibly? Where is it posted for people to, put application in? The rumor is that the Acadiana Community Tennis Association made this push to eliminate this position and hire a private entity to operate. Is this potential member also a member of the Acadiana Community Tennis Association? And if so, it could be considered, what's the right word I want to use here? But anyway, and then is there a valid reason why Chris Mars has not been offered this opportunity? He has had great evaluations during his, tenure at Beaver Park coordinating. And that's the bottom line is nobody's ever spoken to Chris to find out exactly, what it takes to maintain. And my opinion and other members, thinks he does a pretty good job. Nobody gave him a bad evaluation. And if he's not doing something right, nobody's telling him. And then I thank you for your time. Have a blessed night and be safe. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Those that are watching at home, we're trying to call constituents and those that filled out they called in to speak. So if it's quiet, that's the mics are not muted. We're just Ms. Williams doing her job.
Find the next one, it's like,
I mean, it is almost time for the news at 10.
no one answers that one. I got one more, the final caller, caller speaker.
Yeah.
All right. He said he thought it was over since 7 o'clock.
What was that? Since when?
Since 7 o'clock.
I only wish.
That was the final.
That was the final
Caller.
speaker. Okay. Now we'll go to our council members. Mr. Lazard, you had hit your button earlier? All right.
Just go ahead and cancel me and I'll come back.
Okay, hit your button to cancel. Mayor President, you'd hit. Oh, you're going to talk for him?
Yes, when we usually do the budget introduction, I usually do a PowerPoint presentation. Last year, this meeting was very overwhelming and very long, and the power presentation got kind of long. So after looking at the agenda, we thought we would move the proposed presentation until next week. But we are required by law to go ahead and provide everyone with those proposed budgets. And we wanted to let you know that they are, while we have very limited printed copies because we just received a small batch today, it is available on the internet at, you can go to Lafayette LA Gov, then you'll go to the government directory, finance and management, and budget management. And it also could be found on LafayetteBonds.com. On the LafayetteBonds.com website, you can go there and you can register, put in your email address, and you will automatically get push notifications whenever we publish a new financial document, and you won't have to wonder when it's posted. They'll send that to you right away. And I'm sorry, boss.
No, thank you so much. Will you post the links to the, okay. Did you need to talk, Mr. Mayor President, or you
I'll
good?
go after the council if, with your permission.
You'll go what?
I think are there a few council members that need to speak?
Yeah, have Mr. Ruma next. AB?
Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome, sir.
As I sit here tonight and I listen to everyone's concern, I would like to let you know that I share your concerns as well in regards to the closing of our rec centers. I don't think it was handled properly, which I mentioned to the Mayor President, and I think there should have been more dialogue prior to that decision being made. It's no secret, and I'll tell you, most of you guys have heard my testimony that I taught martial arts in every one of those last dojos. I mean, rec centers, we call them dojos. And it means a lot to me. And one of the stories I want to tell, and I've told it before, those rec centers are safe havens. One of the young men that I taught martial arts to had demons holding him down, and he was going back and forth into the incarceration system. Every time he would come out, I'd bring him back to the dojo, work with him, make him do community service, and taught him a lot of responsibility. I am proud to say that that young man today has taught many track teams, I guess you would say, brought him to many track competitions. He is a productive citizen within this community and is doing great things within this community that we live in. He is a product of the recreational system. Someone mentioned about the crime rate. At the beginning of the year, you know, they gave a report about the crime rate from last year, how it was averaged out. But it didn't tell the citizens about the age group between 15 to 18 years old. Those numbers were out the roof. And they had somewhere to go. Just think, if these children don't have anywhere to go at this particular time, come next year, those numbers will be out the roof because they're going to find something to do and it won't be productive. For us to sit here and have to debate about keeping something for our community open, it does this to my heart, okay? I love the children of not just the north side, as this young lady said, I love the children of Lafayette. The one thing that I will tell you, go and look at some of these rec centers. Like, I'm going to say, I'm just use the Robichaux Center. Watch how many children walk to Robichaux Center. In a week's time, you'll see that many kids walk into Hyman Center and Domain Center in one day. If you see any kids walking to Robichaux Center. That's why it's essential that we keep these rec centers open for our kids so they can have something to do. I don't want to go see none of my kids go to jail because they're bored in the streets. I'm sorry about, you know, the way I feel about this, but, well, no, I'm not sorry. Because it is what it is. We need our rec centers, guys. And I'm going to turn to my colleagues, and I'm going to ask you guys to really consider these parks and recreations. We need to do everything by any means necessary to keep them open. If we must close, Mr. West, how did you say that? Shared sacrifice? Let's share the sacrifice, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rubin. Councilman Lewis.
I'd like to echo what Mr. Rubin is saying. Recreation Center on the north side is very valuable to the kids on that side of town. Like one speaker said before, we're supposed to be all together. It's not about the kids on the north side, about the kids on the south side. It's about the kids. And as I spoke with a few of my constituents about what's going on, I did tell them, and I see it in front of everybody else, I feel, and I do know that, government is for the people. Everyone in here pays taxes. We all pay taxes for park and recreation. Simple. That's what it is. So we're here to find a solution to keep the recreation centers open. But that shouldn't be debatable. That should be automatically. Because everyone in here, as I stated before, pay taxes. So what happens to our tax dollars? Are we prepared to give vouchers for public transportation so people can go to the centers that are closer to their home? Will we do that? Give a free voucher on public transportation so they can get to a gym, recreation center, free. So they can go to a recreation center that is nearby because they want, like Mr. Rubin said, they walk and now they can't walk. They cannot walk. And some of the parents do not have transportation to bring them there. So will the other side of town accept our kids over there? I don't know. Y'all tell me. Again, public transportation is real cheap compared to going on a cab somewhere. Transportation do not make any money. Are we closing transportation next? Again, all citizen that purchase something pays taxes, and the government is not in business to make money. I know there's a lot of people saying that run government like a business. Tonight you should be able to hear that it's hard, it's almost impossible to operate government like a business because we depend on tax dollars. That's why the next budget, or this budget, we will just approve to suspend 2% raise for the employees because of what happened. The revenues went down. Now, if you have a private business, you can do whatever you want to. But the government operates through tax dollars. The government works for the people. Simple. Again, we trying to find ways to keep these recs open. I respect the mayor, president, I really do. As I stated earlier, that without him, I possibly cannot get the early voting location at King Center. He's the one that has to make it happen. I can find the money, but he's the one that has to make the money be transferred to put in that site. But it's not everything we can agree on. We talk about it many times. We cannot, it's hard for us to agree on everything. We try to agree on most of the things, but in this particular, what's going on now, it's hard for me to agree on. Really can't. I'll say it for the third time. Government is for the people. This is not a private company. This is a public entity. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor President.
Thank you. And Councilman, thank you for your kind words and your both of you gentlemen. You know, I think the world of you. And that can be said for everybody up here. We all want to do the best we can for the people that we serve. So just let me clarify a few things. I know a lot of people brought up a lot of issues, and this is good to have this public discourse. So one, I believe it was a lady that brought up the voting locations, maybe on the phone. So Domain Center is the only voting location right now. It will still serve as a voting location. Also, while these 4 rec centers, as the proposal stands right now, would close in the next fiscal year, even if we didn't do anything, even if we just failed you as leaders and we couldn't think outside the box and find a way to make these rec centers open, we still own the asset, meaning you still own the asset. The government of the people, as Mr. Chair said, owns the assets. So, and we have our Parks and Recs director back there. Special events, overflow, can still serve as rescue efforts, things like this. We talked about a tutoring program at one of the rec centers that is offices, mainly offices. That's still going to go forward, even though it's one of the 4 listed rec centers. I probably could have communicated better, I'll give you that. I am not perfect, and Lord knows God made me imperfect, but I know where my heart is, and it's with you. Now, all of the parks, sir, you had mentioned that your son goes to a park and plays. I'm with you. All parks, we got to get this rumor quashed. 100% of the parks will stay open, even with the parks with these rec centers. They will remain open. Good point about the park rangers someone brought up. Excellent. There was a lady, and I don't see her, but I don't have my glasses on either. But many people have asked about it. Excellent question. Just to put it in perspective, and let me tell you, I got to know these park rangers very, very well during the Robichaux Center when we were handing out meals. It crushes my heart to be in this position. I didn't ask for that. I didn't run on letting people go. I promise you that. But anyway, we're working very hard with our municipalities across the parish and our own LPD to find homes for these very qualified officers. But let me just point out something. 35 parks, and we had 5 park rangers patrolling 35 parks. We can do better than that. I've already talked with the interim chief of police to create a special detail, because you can't just put regular PD officers there. It takes special training, as many of you know. Many of you are advocates for these parks and recs. You know it takes specialized approach. So we're going to get that, and we'll work with you to get any feedback. But as you talk about the people's asset, it is also the people's money that is brought to us. And right now, my directive to the director of Parks and Recs is live within your means. The people have voted on a millage. Councilman Knocking had the last council meeting talked on that millage. My directive is very simple, straightforward. Find a way to serve as many people as you can in our wonderful parish with the money that the taxpayers voted to give you, plus the revenues you brought in or you're bringing in. This is a very methodical approach. So as it stands right now, if we just completely failed you and we can't think outside the box, we can't take Mr. Levier, who's not here anymore. Corey had a good idea. Some of the churches stepped up within an hour or two, or wherever the answer is. If we just completely fail you, which I don't think we will, still, the analysis shows 1/3 of the rec centers still sit in the north side, and we still have our other 4 rec centers to do the best we can with the rest of the parish. But again, we all want the same thing. I know I concede to you right now, I may not have communicated that the best way, and that's on me. But we all want these 4 rec centers to be fully operational. Some gentleman said, let your actions speak louder than your words. Amen. But give me a shot, because let me tell you something. I'm swimming up the river with one hand behind my back, and so are these council members, and they're about to feel it when we come on budget. But we will get there. I have talked to Councilman Rubin, to Councilman Lewis, to Councilman Lazar. We can find the answers, and we will. So we'll continue to work together, continue to work with the public. This was healthy tonight, and I appreciate it, but this is the beginning of the process, a very transparent process. So, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Cook, you have the floor. Just hit your button, man.
Sorry.
You got it.
Okay, it's getting late. I just have a couple of questions, and of course, I'm the PE person, so when we take recreation out of the community, it goes definitely against my grain. So I just have a couple of questions. One, these individuals that teach classes in those facilities, are we providing them any assistance to maybe teach classes? Well, not that would help that community, but are we allowing them maybe to teach? I know we're closing the facilities, but we're keeping the utilities on. And we're maintaining, I understand that. So I'm wondering if there's, I guess where I'm getting with this is there any way that we can allow some kind of a floating staff person to go, if Domain Center has a class, I understand there's a 7:30 in the morning class with Joe Charles. If she has her class in the morning at 7:30, and then there's another activity, say, at the Hyman Center, is there, can we do like a skeleton staff to allow some of those activities to still happen so that we're not staffing it all day? And I know we don't do that anyway, but that's just one of my questions, okay?
Oh, Lord.
Would you want to answer that one? Okay.
If you don't mind, unless I get my notes. So that's a fair proposal. Again, this is the beginning of the process. I submit to you an executive budget. I understand that the timing of it may not have been happy on my announcement, but I don't hide things. I hold it. I get it out there. I send it to the council. I send it to the public. And if it's not convenient, then I can't control that. However, this is a very valid point. We're open to everything. That may not be the most efficient way. We don't know, but I know what the intent is. And I know what my intent is not, and that is to take recreation out of these facilities. My intent is to find ways to allow these functions to work with living within our means. And I'm already confident, just my conversations over the weekend, that we can do that. And by the way, that model should not be for these 4 rec centers. It should be for all 10 rec centers. How can we provide more services to our youth? How can we provide more services to our community, from our youth to our elderly, at a cost-effective rate to our taxpayers? And that's what we're doing. But so to answer your question, it's possible.
So we'll talk more about that during the budget, but I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, I have another question. Was there any kind of impact assessment done maybe prior to the cuts, in terms of, understanding what programs and people that might be directly affected?
Sure. We have Frank. There he is. So I'll call up Frank. Frank is our interim Parks and Recreation Director. And as before Frank begins to speak, he's served our community for over 24 years, and all in Parks and Recs?
Almost 26, correct.
Almost 26 in Parks and Recs. So he's been in the field when I was a youth. He may not even remember this. When I was in youth athletic coaching, I was dealing with Frank for almost 10 years. So, but anyway, my directive was very clear to him. You have your millage, you have the revenues that are anticipated to come in. Find a way to serve as many members of our community with the money that the taxpayers have given you. And that being said, but I do my leadership style is I allow leaders to lead, and he made recommendations. I've adopted those recommendations. I take full responsibility for them, but go ahead.
Correct. So Frank Wittenberg, Interim Director for Parks and Recreation. So in relation to the rec centers, once I was given the directive from the mayor of what I was trying to accomplish, we looked at all the potential reductions across the full O&M spectrum for our department, including personnel and laying off employees. So taking that in consideration with the centers in particular, I started looking at the 10 sites we have. 3 of them are directly related to our youth athletic programs at Brown Park with Dupuy Center, Slyside at Neyland Park, and CSA at Boyer Park. And they heavily use those sites for athletic programs that we manage and run. Then I looked for the other side when you have the Bowles Center and the J. Carlton James Activity Center, looking at activity going in the facilities. One had 3 rentals during 2019, the other one had 6. The Bowles Center in particular used to house one of our park police officers as a substation. Other than that, had very low activity. And with no other athletic promise, it didn't make sense to have those 2 continue open if we couldn't keep them open. That left 5 more, and then it became a situation looking at each of the sites, looking at each of the activities, rentals. Some of them had really high rentals, some of them not so high. We also looked at LRPD activities, athletics, instructor-led programs. We don't keep daily counts of individuals just walking into the sites, so we don't have any of that information. And so just kind of start working our way back and forth, looking what would be the best interest for our sports programs, our instructor-led activities, and the public in general across the entire parish to serve as many as possible. And ultimately, it led me to have to figure out 2 more sites that we potentially have to close, and that's the plan right now unless we can rework it. And it all comes back to staffing. With the staffing changes and layoffs, we're down to 4 recreation center coordinators full-time, and the 6 who were full-time are part-time, and that's the 10 people we have to work, period.
Now, does the Hyman Center, though, they bring in, that's probably the second highest revenue generating facility, is it in the? I know it's hard to, right now with the COVID, I mean, it's hard to tell what anything is.
It's number 2 or 3 in total rentals. Okay. Revenue generation, they're all about the same. Not a single one has a profit any given year. Or break even.
So then I guess it was considered, all the income that was coming in was definitely consideration then in which ones you were closing?
We looked at the back end is what I did. I didn't use that as a consideration myself. I'm looking at what's available to us to use for our activities, our programs, our normal rentals, classes, and things like that. And the revenue side came in at the back side to kind of show where we were in relation.
I guess my concern is just how many people that were teaching or doing things at those centers are now, without a job or without a place to do it.
So at those 4 sites, the Hyman didn't have any teacher-led, instructor-led programs at all.
Okay.
Neither did the Bowles or J. Carlton James. Now, J. Carlton James is our partnership for the last several years with the New Hope Foundation. And I'm in talks with them to try and create a partnership to continue that on where we're helping them out and keep that going for after-school tutoring and things like that. And I expect that to follow through and get done. At the Domingue Center, I know Ms. Joe, who was one of my teachers at USL as well, we spoke early this week, and if we can't find a way to open up part of the time, then I talked to her about her taking her programs to the Dupree Center and/or the King Center, and she said she'd be willing to do that if that's what it takes.
Okay, just as long as you're looking out for Ms. Joe.
Correct.
Okay. So I guess my next question, my last question would be, kind of you, Mayor President, the create funds that we talk about them, we always throw that out there as potential, I know the date to close in these facilities, or they're closed now, are they?
Well, they've been closed, and many of them have due to COVID.
Right, so officially though, the August 14th?
August 14th is a target, and with the efforts that we already have in place, I'm hopefully optimistic that we can have it resolved before then, but I definitely want to take everybody's thoughts into consideration.
Okay, well, and that's all I ask. I mean, that's all I ask. I would like to think that if we had the opportunity to use some create funds to maybe keep them open, at least till the new budget November year starts, then we would do that. But that's I think if we can look at that, I think that would be a little ray of hope maybe to keep them open till that moment. So, all right. Thanks, Frank. That's all I have for you.
Frank, hold on 1 second. Mr. Lazard, do you have a question for Mr. Frank? Okay, Pat does. You mind if I make Pat's hot while he's already up? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Frank, I noticed your statement, you said that you were taking directive. I want you to understand my question carefully.
Yes, sir.
That you were taking direction from the mayor. What about the president?
That's him.
Mayor President?
Oh, Mayor President, okay, because I did hear you say just the mayor. I was just wondering, I want to make sure that everybody
Yes, sir. Yeah, it came from
okay.
the Mayor President.
Because
I'm sorry.
Mayor President, not just a mayor.
I misspoke. I
Oh, no problem.
apologize.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
All right, go ahead. Before I go to Mr. Lazard, now that Mr. Frank's still up, Councilman Rubin.
Hey,
Yes, sir, Councilman.
Mr. Frank, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing
Man,
pretty
look
well,
like you,
thank you.
look like you've aged since you took that position, man.
It's been a rough week. Yes, sir.
Okay, you talked about Ms. Joe. Did you speak to Ms. Erica Williams as well?
I have not. She is, Ms. Joe called me Monday morning about 7:45. I was sitting in my office when we spoke. So I have not
Because
spoken to
there's
Ms. Williams.
a very good program that's going on over there at this particular time called New Vision. I just so happen to be one of the directors in that program, and they're doing great things with children in our community.
Okay.
I was wondering, what are your plans for New Vision kids who, that's their home? If you go upstairs, everything up there is New Vision. What are your plans?
And this is at the Domingue Center? or-
Yes, sir.
Okay. I wasn't made aware of that, but I'll speak with Ms. Williams tomorrow and talk to her and get more information. And I'm trying to find a way to at least get it open partial days if I can, but it all comes down to the staffing. With the 37 employees we had to lay off, it's going to be tough. Yes, sir. I'm going to do my best to try and work them back in and fit them in somewhere. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Lazard.
Mr. Lazard, go ahead.
I'm going to probably be all over the place on this thing, so y'all bear with me. Frank, you can sit down then. I have nothing for you.
All right. Thank you.
First of all, the rollout was an unmitigated disaster from Friday till today. Started out Friday. We've talked about this before, about us getting more advance notice before you make major announcements, especially those issues that we have to deal with the repercussions. And when I say we, I mean council members that are out in the community, especially things that happen in our areas. So we got about a 15-minute notice before it was released to the general public, and we started getting flooded and have been since then. And I contacted you Friday afternoon, and you didn't have a whole lot of information at the time that I requested, because we're getting questions and we don't have answers to them. So that burden falls on us. Then we roll over to Saturday when Carlos gave a statement. I guess it was an attempt to better clarify or expand on what the initial rollout, I guess. On Sunday, Jamie issues a statement that seemed to try to clarify what Carlos said on Saturday. And and of course, this has been the hot topic on social media throughout the weekend. So there's been a lot of confusion as to what's open, what's not open, how we're going to proceed going forward. So I think what we've heard tonight is probably giving some clarity to it, hopefully anyway. The other thing that I'm very concerned with, and we need to clarify for the general public, is about the so-called meeting that we had, the conference call we did on yesterday. I initially requested a meeting with you so that we could get some answers and try to clarify some of the discrepancies. I had no idea until I got the official invite that we were involving some outside parties for a presentation, if you will, for lack of better terminology. Immediately thereafter, I don't know if it was Jamie or Carlos, put something on the LCG Facebook page that kind of added to the confusion more. Then we start getting flooded with calls and emails that we had did some kind of backroom deal. That it doesn't fly. And like I said, I'm not sure. It seems to me that it was an attempt, and I want to emphasize seems to me, that it was an attempt to try to, an attempt at mitigation, if you will, created more confusion. So it seems like we're just going round and round with this thing. That's the technical aspect of it. On the substantive aspect of it, it's kind of difficult for me to, even if I was inclined to agree with this, it would be very difficult for me to do so, not having some very pertinent and important information to make a proper evaluation. Several of us requested information. Liz did, Nanette did, I think John did, AB did, I did, and I'm not sure if you have it.
Hey, you can laugh, Councilman.
No, let me finish. No.
And it's confusing. We don't communicate.
No.
And we're not transparent.
No.
So you can sit here.
There's a big difference between communicating with the council and communicating with the general public. There's a difference.
Can you say that again?
There's a difference between communicating information, the specific information that council members ask for, and communicating with the public. It's not the same, okay? It's not the same thing. So this is nice to have. Would have been nice to get it in advance of us having to make this decision and having to, well, that's fine. Then maybe tonight wasn't the proper time to put this on the agenda. If that's the case.
By law.
We had to by law? Okay, well, that's fine. I'll accept that. Now to the substantive matter. One of the arguments that's been repeatedly made is the fact that there are so many centers. We talked geographics, if you will, and that's undisputed. Nobody can argue with that. But I don't think we should just narrow it down to that. Parks and Recreation are more than just athletic activities and athletic events. We often talk about quality of life and health and wellness and what have you, and the things that it takes to make the complete picture, if you will, for lack of better terminology. So sometimes we get into a situation where we're not making a fair comparison. So, and I understand that we have to operate within our means. I fully accept that. And by law, we have to have a balanced budget. I fully accept that as well, and I acknowledge that. And I'm not going to sit up here and accuse you of anything, or your administration of anything, but it appears as though when these decisions are being made, we're totally leaving out the human element. And one of the gentlemen mentioned the difference between equality and equity. Very good point. These centers were placed where they are because there was a demonstrated need for them being there. And that need is even greater today probably than it was when they were first placed there. So I really wish we would give this some serious thought. And when we talk about what's considered, and someone said this already tonight, what's considered essential services. And you've made it perfectly clear what the priorities of the administration is. And that's fine. I certainly respect that. But Parks and Recreation and anti-poverty programs and services provided by community development are, to my district, what drainage is to Liz and Lynette's districts. And I've heard the voices loud and clear. And I guess it's a balancing act of sorts, if you will. And I would simply implore my fellow council members to really think this through. And to me, it's, I guess, A.B., going back to what you said, it's kind of personal to me as well. Because I live in that community. I interact with those kids myself through my various volunteer activities. And they have made a difference. They have made a difference. I don't think anyone can question that. So I know I'm not closing with a bang, but I think I've said all I have to say. Thank you all for indulging me.
Yes, sir. I wanted to share with fellow council members and the public as well. I grew up in Parks and Recreation. Gerald Boudreaux and my dad and I talked about it. Mr. Barrington, I was here. I've been an advocate for Parks and Recreation for the last 8 years I've been on this council, from rec centers, wanting a rec center in the unincorporated area, to keeping up our Parks and Recreation, to make sure that our kids have a very nice place to play, have associations, youth associations, so that our kids have the opportunity to play ball in the parish rec system, where today everybody is select, and you got to have money to play on a travel team. And so, Gerald's belief in Parks and Recreation hit home with me, because it's important that parish government has a recreation center and has something available for the children and for those families that might not be as fortunate that they can go travel to the state-of-the-art parks in Youngsville and Broussard and be able to afford these big high-dollar fees and travel all over. I grew up in Park and Recreation, so it's always been passionate to me. But the one thing that you might not be aware of, and Frank's over there, and Frank, if you can come up to the front, I've been fighting for Parks and Recreation for a long time, and a lot of people didn't like me or said, Kevin, you're all about taxes, but it's important for the record to understand who is actually paying for Parks and Recreation parish-wide and who is paying for the centers and the recreation centers. Frank, can you tell me what tax is out there that actually funds all of Lafayette Parish 1, like Mr. Hebert says? Who is paying for these, and how long have they been paying for, and who is not paying?
So the only dedicated tax millage that we have is the ad valorem tax set in 1961. It's a citywide millage only.
And what is that millage? 0.92 or something like that? Or?
It brings in about 2.8 million a year right now.
Can you imagine we're trying to operate a parish-wide Parks and Recreation and keep your centers open and provide programs for these kids on $2.8 million, and the city of Lafayette residents are the only ones participating in a parish-wide Parks and Recreation? Okay, you might not have been aware of that, but it's important that we have that discussion, because I've been an advocate for fighting it for 8 years, and people said, Kevin, you're all about raising people's taxes. No, I'm about, if you don't want centers to close and you don't want parks to close, then if we're going to all say we're all in this together, then everybody in the municipalities, as well as the unincorporated area, has to pay to play. That's your shared sacrifice. Okay? So in this situation, I'm not happy that we'd have to close centers myself. And it doesn't matter. Look, Mr. Rubin, I shop on the north side of town. I live in Dusson. Okay? I hit I-10 and I go to Louisiana Avenue and go to the academy there. I was a big advocate for that road project to go all the way through there to finish there. Okay? I hear what you're saying, and I'm with you, but it's not gonna, it cannot fall on the back of the city of Lafayette to fund every single park and recreation deal. At some point, we have to come together and we have to make it happen. And just think if everybody was paying the 0.92 or whatever it is, right? And just think if we wouldn't, as a council years ago, rolled it back, you would have about another $3.5 million today.
That's
Okay.
my understanding from the presentation last year, yes, sir.
Absolutely. And this is not your fault. What I'm saying is I'm commending you, because in the situation that you're in, you and this council and this administration doesn't have the funds and doesn't have the ability to keep everything open in every part. And so you're trying to do the best thing, and you're trying to balance budgets, but we're suffering. So the solution is, and today and tonight, and with the COVID-19, it's probably not the best time to talk about passing a tax, right?
Correct.
But if the public wants to understand and know how we got into this situation and who's actually paying for it, The unincorporated area doesn't have any businesses. So their sales tax revenue can't even support taking care of the parish general fund, more or less trying to go out and help keep some of these centers, or, we don't have any extra revenue coming in.
Correct.
The way the parish helps you guys out, when we had general fund money, Laurie Toops would tell you we'd subsidize out of the parish general fund whatever we could to help offset the Parks and Recreation.
Correct.
And Mr. Barrington's right, the golf courses are the ones that are producing revenue. And I know government's not in, like Mr. Lewis said, I mean, we need to provide these recreation centers and we need to keep them available. But we're also at a physical restraint right now. And I just want the people to know that that's why we're struggling. Not everybody is paying into recreation. Not everybody is putting that shared sacrifice in there. And I believe if we don't get to that at some point, it's not just going to be the recreation centers on that side of town. It's going to be in Ms. Nanette's district, Boyer Park. It's going to be Judy's Park in my district. It's going to be Scott. I mean, at some point, we have to become one and have to explain to the people how important it is.
Yes, sir.
So just for the facts out there, I'm all in the Parks and Recreation. I don't want to see a center close. I don't care what center it is. I don't care what park it is. But I'm going to need some help. The public's going to have to stand behind leadership and go to the people and say, if you don't want, if Parks and Recreation means as much as it means to you as much as it means to me, and you don't want the kids in the street and you don't want crime to go up, then you have to provide an environment and an establishment where the kids have a choice to play rec ball, where they're not forced to. Because if rec ball goes away, what happens to the kids that just want to play basketball? Or what happens to the kids that just want to play baseball? Maybe they're not at the level to go compete at these select tournaments. And that's Gerald's dream, is to make sure that the government keeps the assets, but at some way or how, we fund it as one and stop putting it on the backs of another. Because when you start closing things, then people start saying, whoa, I don't want it to close. I don't want it to close either, but we got to find the revenue. I just told you why we're not collecting it, so we have to come together. So I just wanted to close with the fact that at some point we are going to have to come together and put that shared sacrifice on the table, whether it passes or it fails. The point is, if we don't want recreation in Lafayette Parish to close the gates, lock the doors, we're going to have to find the revenue somewhere. So that's all I got to say. I want to work very hard to keep those centers open, to support my fellow council members, but to also support the fact that recreation, and as big as Lafayette Parish is, we cannot let the department and Mr. Frank and all of those people, we can't just let it fall on the sword. We got to keep it going somehow, some way. And I'm going to close with that. I'm done. Thank you very much. Mr. Lazard, you wanted to close?
No, I'm good.
You good? Okay. Mr. Lewis?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Frank, I
Yes, sir.
just want to ask a question that Mr. Nakin was talking about as far as the taxes and the rollover, millage and what have you. And I noticed that what he has said, that where the funds are being provided for was only coming from only the city. Am I correct? Did I hear that correct?
Correct.
Do we have any park and recreation center in the unincorporated areas?
No, sir, we do not.
We do not have any. Okay, then earlier.
We don't have any rec centers, but we do have parks.
Okay, we have
but not
parks,
rec
not the
centers,
rec
correct.
centers. So my comment would be, and I just want to make a comment about this. If the city is the only one that's paying for park and recreations, and the parish is not.
Yes, sir.
But why these facilities that the city is paying, I say I'm talking about the city tax dollars, why they are the ones that need to be closed and the parish is not doing anything?
I can help you with that.
Go ahead. I'm not saying. I understand. I know.
I was going to just give you the facts.
Okay.
In other words, the reason that they're still open is because those municipalities and the youth associations, they have stepped up and put in money that we couldn't put
Correct.
in.
The
so
volunteer groups.
volunteer groups are helping out.
That's fine. But
and the general fund.
Okay, good. Thank you. But my next question would be that I heard Dr. Jackson had called in earlier ago, and she made the comment that she's on the board, and Mr. Barrington's on the board, because I did speak with him as well.
Yes, sir.
They was not notified or that. Did anybody make an attempt to ask them how do they feel about the closure?
No, sir, I did not.
No one did.
With the timeframe I was working on, there just wasn't enough time to contact them.
So the board,
So our rec commission, its advisory commission meets every other month. August was our next scheduled meeting. Yes, sir.
so I'm just kind of, battle be done that I'm just kind of
Yes, sir.
disappointed. I mean, to me, the board should have been notified. Okay, you know what I'm
Yes,
getting
sir.
at. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and look, I'm trying to help out my interim director here too. Some of those questions can kind of put them in a little bind. So the advisory board is just that. It is an advisory board, and we still welcome their advice and still welcome their opinion, but they are not a governing board. That being said, hey, we are in the beginning stages of our budget. I've told you what my executive budget's going to be when I submit it to the councils for consideration and approval and feedback and dialogue as we go through this bicameralistic process. But my intent is very clear. This department and every other department needs to live within their means. We have a millage, we have revenues. If we can find a different way to satisfy that intent, then let's do it. But we have ideas out there. We have people that stepped up over the weekend. We had one gentleman that showed up and spoke twice already tonight about an idea on volunteer programs. The answers are out there. But we all got schooled up on taxes and all this good stuff, and that's a great dialogue to have, and welcome your input on that as well. But make no question about my intent. I'm asking the government, and I'm actually demanding the government do what every family's doing in this parish and whatever business is doing in this parish across the country that's live within our means, and we have to do it. That's the revenue this director gets. Thank you for your hard work. I gave you a directive. You made it happen. We are submitting by law an executive budget for consideration. We will talk about it. You know my intent. Let's work on it, and I welcome your feedback. And it's that easy.
Mr. Lazar.
I want to be real quick. When was the ultimate decision made?
Earlier, when I said we communicate too much, then it's confusing. We don't communicate enough, then we're hiding something. So I always err on the side of transparency. And by the way, when you have transparent government, you get to see what government's like. And we may have the best government just like we have the best army in the world because we deal with organized chaos every single day. But at least you know where my thought process is. And I'm pretty open about it. Even tonight, we're still talking about it. This is the beginning of the process. Now, we have 4 council members that have served in this process before, 5, Andy. So we have half of our councils that have been through this process. I don't think I'm missing a step. The executive branch gives you a budget to start with, and we give you my thoughts, and you guys look at it. Now we have 2 councils. You're going to put your input on it. You'll send it back. We'll go through a reconciliatory process, and we'll have the answers. But at least it's in the open. How refreshing is that? I mean, I might not have made a Facebook post the best way, but I put it out there. But anyway, look, you did a good job. I gave you a very daunting task, and you came through with it, and our people are better served with that. Everybody here today did a good job presenting your thoughts, and it means a lot to me. It means a lot to our administration, and I'm pretty confident it means a lot to the council members as well. We need to hear this, and I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it?
All right.
That's a wrap? All right. Okay. Now that the discussion's finished, I done lost all my paperwork. Let me see. Okay, here we go. All right, Ms. Williams, we did all the public comment and everything, so right now we need to call a vote from each council to introduce global items 14 through 16.
Parish District 5?
No.
Parish District 1?
Yes.
Parish District 2?
Yes.
Parish District 3?
Yes.
Parish District 4?
Yes.
City District 5?
District 5.
No.
City District 1?
No.
City District 2?
Yes.
City District 3?
Yes.
City District 4? Yes. Motion to introduce in globo by the Parish Council is approved. Motion to introduce in globo by the City Council is approved.
Just to be clear, that's introductory ordinance only, okay? So nothing is final, so it's coming back in 2 weeks. So the people that voted yes was voting yes to get it back up in another 2 weeks to continue the discussion. So I just wanted you to know that nothing was actually,
Is the budget intro, budget final adoption is not until September 10th, I think, the second Thursday in September. We do start the budget reviews process. The first budget review is next Tuesday, where we will review revenues, be provided with an overview of the budget, and also look at all the various funds.
correct. I just didn't want the public to think that we actually voted on the closing or reopening of the centers. I didn't want them to get a false.
That would come with final adoption in September, the second Thursday in September.
Absolutely. So it's not done. We're going to discuss, and we're going to do everything we can to keep it open.
And out there should be a budget schedule, and recreation and parks, it's on that schedule. There is a date for recreation and parks, their budget review. So that's another date where the recreation specifically would be discussed.
And in closing, thank you for sticking around this long. Thank you for having patience. Thank you for expressing yourself tonight. We appreciate it. You stayed here a long time, and I'm fortunate enough that I get to leave, and then y'all can go after the city council of Lafayette. So, all right. I promise you I won't be watching you from home, but y'all have a good evening.
I close the city council, adjourn it.
I adjourn the joint meeting in the parish council meeting. Thank y'all. Stick around.